Welcome back to another video. Today, you're going to learn how to wholesale real estate, and I mean it. A couple of days ago, we did a free Zoom webinar where we went over everything there is to know about wholesaling, and we were able to record it, and we're going to post it now so that everyone that wasn't able to attend can actually benefit from this. Now, this is a very long training. It was 4 hours, but we really did go over everything. How to find motivated homeowners, how to understand the contracts, the scripts, the texting scripts, the softwares, how to find cash buyers. Literally everything that you need to know about wholesaling real estate was done in this training video. So if you're really trying to start your wholesaling journey, this video is for you. I promise you, if you finish the entire 4-hour training, you'll learn something new and be ready to start your wholesaling career. But let's go back to the basics. Let's start from scratch. What is wholesaling, right? Wholesaling is a process of finding and contracting a property with a motivated seller and then assigning the contract to a buyer for a fee, right? Let's go over some key points, right? Wholesaling is a way to make money in real estate without actually buying or owning a property. This is one of the best and most important reasons of wholesaling. The next one is wholesalers act as intermediaries between sellers and buyers and earn a profit from the assignment fee. The third one is wholesaling requires marketing skills, negotiating skills, and knowledge of the real estate market. Let's kind of dig a little bit deeper in this. So first one, wholesaling, you are making money without actually purchasing or buying or doing anything to the property other than locking it up under contract. What you're doing is finding a motivated homeowner, someone that's interested in selling their home due to either financial reasons, personal reasons. And the reason for that is you can see it from, having paid their mortgage. Maybe it's an inheritance. Maybe it's, there's so many different situations and so many circumstances where a homeowner might be willing to take over a low cash offer or want to get out of a property really fast. And that's kind of our opportunity to jump in and assist them in that way and give them an offer that they're really going to all right, let me kind of try to explain it in more simpler terms in a sense. So when you're dealing with motivated homeowners, and I want to kind of start it off with, not every homeowner is going to be motivated. That's the first one. Not every homeowner is going to be motivated, and that's fine. We're never trying to force anyone to sell their house. We're never trying to convince anyone to sell with us, right? If they're motivated, you're going to tell from a mile away, right? They're going to make this process a lot easier. When they're motivated, they might say yes now, but they're going to make your life pretty much a living hell throughout the entire process, right? They're going to have contingencies. They're going to walk away throughout the middle of the deal. So it really is a big focus on finding those motivated homeowners. Now for wholesaling, once you find that motivated homeowner, you're going to check the property. Either they are going to send you photos or you're going to go down there and actually go see the property, take photos, speak with the homeowner, build rapport, and then you're going to lock it up under contract. And we're going to talk about, how you price it, how you make an offer, how you find comparables. We'll dig into that a bit later on. But like out of a quick overview, that's really the first step, the acquisition part, right? You're finding a motivated homeowner, you're running the numbers and giving them an offer. Once they agree, you lock it up under contract, and then you go and find a buyer to assign that contract to. So if you locked it up for, let's say, $200,000, you're going to try to find a buyer at $210,000, $215,000, $220,000, and you make that $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 assignment fee. So that's really the basis of wholesaling. And the marketing skills, the negotiating skills, and the knowledge of real estate market, that kind of comes with practice, right? You don't need to have it as a first thing. Real estate market experience, knowledge, that grows with stuff like this, right? Presentations, free courses, Google, bigger pockets, forums. There's so much information online that can really truly help you dig deep into that knowledge basis of the real estate market. In terms of negotiating and marketing, you'll learn that as you go along, right? You'll learn what not to say anymore. You'll learn what to say better. You'll learn better rebuttals. That really comes from actually practicing and doing deals. So I want to also say from the beginning, when you're starting out, you're going to make mistakes, right? There's no way out of it. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. You're going to lose deals. That is inevitable. But because of those mistakes, you're going to learn 100 times more what not to do the next time. And that's going to get you your potential second, third, fourth deal, right? No one came into this knowing everything, right? When I first started, I was pretty much in zero real estate information, zero real estate skills. Like I came straight from college. I studied finance. So that was really the only thing I've known when it came to business or markets or real estate from what I've seen, right? I've rented all my life. My parents never owned a home. So real estate was never in, my forefront. And so as I'm going through Google, as I'm going through YouTube videos, as I'm going through online information, that's really where the learning kind of came in. But the real learning came from actually trying to wholesale, actually going through and calling homeowners and messing up potential deals, which obviously is not the greatest way to start, but it's what really taught me how to be the best wholesaler I can be, because I learned what not to say and what not to do. Now, right now, there's a lot of opportunities. There's mentorship groups. There's a lot of classes online that can help you try to avoid making those mistakes. But when you first start out, it is completely okay to make those mistakes and learn from those mistakes. Let's kind of jump into lead generation. Finding a motivated homeowner, right? So this is the biggest one. And this is going to be your hardest part of wholesaling, right? Finding a motivated homeowner, finding someone that is in distress. This is where we're going to use different strategies to find that homeowner. So let's go through the key points. So wholesalers need to be able to find motivated homeowners in order to secure profitable deals. Wholesalers can use a variety of marketing strategies such as direct mail, online ads, and networking to reach potential sellers. And wholesalers can work with real estate agents, attorneys, and other professionals to identify motivated sellers in their area. So what it's pretty much telling you is there's so many different ways to find motivated homeowners, right? So I'm going to kind of tell you the big three that everyone's going to talk to you about and the big three that work. So first one, biggest strategy, driving for dollars. It's how I got my first deal. I always talk about it because I know it works. I've done it before. It was my first deal happened this way. I was driving around, driving straight from work, found this distressed looking property, searched up the address on truepeoplesearch.com, which is a free website to get phone numbers. It's not always accurate, but guess what? On my first deal, it worked. It got me the contact number of that homeowner, called him up, didn't even know what I was doing. Called up the homeowner, told him, I work with a group of investors. Your property is just very distressed. I would love to come in and give you a cash offer on the property. You don't have to worry about any repairs. You don't have to worry about any closing costs. The number that we agree on today is the number that you get to walk away with. Turns out he was completely interested in selling, ended up locking that deal and closing it, made $16,000 on my first wholesale deal. Straight from driving for dollars. So I'm a big advocate for it because when you're driving for dollars, you're potentially finding properties that are not listed on softwares, are not listed on public county records. They haven't gotten the 1,000 call from other wholesalers. So you're getting a fresh meat, as they say, on a potential property. So I'm a big advocate for it. So if you are first starting out, driving for dollars is a great way to kind of just drive around through your neighborhood, look for properties that have signs of distress. And you can do it by overgrown grass, boarded up windows, for sale by owner signs. Another one's like junk car in the yard. As during the winter time, you kind of look for like AC units, like people keep the AC units throughout the entire year. That's sometimes a sign that, there might be some type of issue. But now during the summer, the biggest one is the overgrown grass, right? If it's you can tell from a mile away overgrown grass. We're not talking about like a couple inches. We're talking more like the place looks like it's going to be a jungle in a couple of months. But that's what we're looking for. Boarded up windows are a clear sign. Junk cars, you can tell when a property is distressed. Look at the roof, look at the windows, look at the siding. Those are great ways to kind of tell the property's distress. Let's kind of go over the actual steps of it. So first one is you pick a neighborhood, right? Preferably your own neighborhood. That's usually the best way to start. If you are in a state that does not allow wholesaling, which would be the state of Illinois allows you to do one deal a year. The city of Philly allows you to do wholesaling, but you need a wholesaling license. And then Arkansas is also a place that you have extra rules and regulations for wholesaling. So if you're in those three states, it might be a little bit difficult in order to actually wholesale in those, but you can always do things virtually. But for everyone else, your own neighborhood is going to be the best neighborhood to wholesale in. So that's your first step. Why is it the best neighborhood? Because you should know this neighborhood inside out. You should know your town. You should know the best parts of town. You should know the worst parts of town. You should see what parts of town are selling the most. You can go through Zillow. You can speak to real estate agents. You can go to networking events. But this should be your first step. If you're going to wholesale real estate in your area, your first step should be to know your area. Do your research, do your due diligence, find out what places are selling, find out what investors are talking about, go to your local auctions. There's so many different ways to kind of find your niche in terms of your area, like whether it's land, whether it's commercial, whether it's residential. Like this is all done by you doing your research and figuring out what you want to go after. So that's the first one. Drive by, familiarize yourself, look for the distressed property, take some notes and pictures, right? And then skip trace and market it to your list. So skip tracing, we'll talk about that as we go along, but that's driving for dollars. Pretty self-explanatory. I know there's some people that talk about virtual driving for dollars, which is basically using Google Street View and then driving around that way. So if those that can't drive or don't have a vehicle or are not able to do the driving for dollars, you can do virtual driving for dollars. The only issue that I have with that Street View virtual driving for dollars is that sometimes the Google Maps are not as updated. So you might be doing Google Street View and looking at a property that looks distressed, but it was last year, and this year it's already been fixed up. So that's the only kind of con part to virtual driving for dollars. The next strategy, and really the best strategy, is public county records and foreclosures. Now, this is information that comes straight from the source. It comes straight from the county, straight from the state. Public records and foreclosure lists can be valuable sources of information for finding motivated homeowners. Monitor public records for properties with liens, tax delinquencies, or code violations. These may indicate a motivation to sell. Keep an eye on foreclosure lists to identify homeowners who may be facing financial distress and could be motivated to sell quickly. Now, public county records and foreclosures can be found either online. Every county and every state has different rules and regulations when it comes to this. Here in Jersey, you just fill out a form online, and in about 7 days, you get it back. I know for places, someone said that in Washington, you have to actually call the public county records, public county clerk's office, and they kind of set you up with a form sent to your email. Once you submit that form, you can come in and pick up documents. So every state has its own little rule to public county records. Foreclosures, for the most part, from what I've seen, are online. So you can search up your county's sheriff's sale, and then it'll give you a list of all the properties that are being, foreclosed on. And these are sometimes the best motivation because of the fact that you can see that they're in trouble, especially when you're going for public county records for like tax delinquencies. You can see how much they owe in their taxes. So if you're seeing someone that's owing $20,000, $30,000 in taxes, this is a red flag that, hey, they might be in some serious trouble. This is someone that I want to go after, compared to someone that's on the tax delinquency list but only owes $100, right? With code violations, there's so many. Overgrown grass is a code violation. If there's anything damaged within the property, that's a code violation. Code violations kind of vary. There's also like code violations for like parking or had a commercial vehicle. So those are not the ones we're going after. We're going after the ones that indicate a motivation to sell. So with wholesaling, one of the things you're going to realize is we're kind of like shooting blind, right? What we're doing is trying to gather all this data of someone that might potentially be motivated. Why? Because they owe money, they haven't paid their bills, they have some sort of issue. And we do this by driving for dollars, looking at public county records, right? And then we're taking these lists and we're calling and we're texting and we're reaching out to them. But this is kind of the most important one. So if you're trying to do the public county records way, I'd highly recommend to figure out your county's clerk's office, give them a call, and tell them that you're doing an open property request, right? It's called an OPRA. It's an Open Property Request Act, which allows you to get this information from the county itself. And then you're asking them for one, tax delinquent, which is a list of properties that are delinquent on their utilities and or taxes. Ask them to provide the full address and the name as well as the balance owed. The reason for that is you want the address and the name so you can be able to skip trace it properly. And then you also want the balance owed so you can kind of focus on the ones that owe the 20, 30, 40,000 compared to the ones that owe 100, 200. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to call all of them regardless, but you want to call the ones that have the most because they will be a list of properties with code violations on them for the last 6 months. Please include the full address and owner's name. And I know I keep asking, I keep bringing this up because they will not give it to you if you don't ask them. So ask them for the full address, ask them for the owner's name. You want as much information possible so you can skip trace and get the phone numbers as best as you can. The last one, and the best one, is vacancies, right? A list of properties flagged abandoned or vacant. Most municipalities keep one available. So here in Jersey, if you have a vacant property, you have to register it, right? You have to register it with the county. So this is really, really important because you're getting straight from the source information. This property is vacant. They literally had to register it and let the county know that this property is vacant. And then you can go ahead, call them up and see if they're interested in an offer. The next one is pre-foreclosures, also known as lis pendens. The homeowner has been served with a notice of default. And then the last one is probate. A list of these homes is kept in the probate department in every town. So probate is more of inheritance, right? If someone passes away, didn't have a will, didn't have a trust set up, they have to go through the probate courts so it can get passed down to whoever has to own the property. And then for pre-foreclosures, we know that it's the people that haven't paid either their mortgage, their taxes, or some type of lien that they're going to get foreclosed on. The bank is going to end up repossessing that property. So these are like the best types of lists to go after. And the best part is they can be found right from your public county records. And for the most part, they're absolutely free. For us, there's been like two towns that have charged for lists. Not really the list itself, more of like charged you for sending it to you, charged you for labor, charged you for the paper. Like that's how they charge you, because the information is free in a sense, but they'll charge you per paper, like $5 a paper or whatever the case may be, so that they can profit off of it. So public county records example. So this is an example of a code violation one. Public county records are sometimes given in the worst format possible. Many wholesalers won't go that extra step of taking these lists and formatting them into an Excel sheet to skip trace it and get the phone numbers. So it makes it a huge opportunity if you're willing to put in that extra work to get less saturated lists, right? So these are lists that not everyone's going to go after, because you have to, first off, figure out what this handwriting is, get the address, put it into an Excel sheet manually, then go skip trace it to get the phone numbers. But that extra step is what's going to differentiate you from every other wholesaler. So for example, this one of the ones that you would go after, probably not the dog bite. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is dog bite. Probably not something that screams motivated homeowner, but this one right under it, no heat. That's something that I would go after. A property that has no heat, it's clearly a sign that it's either vacant or they haven't paid some sort of bill. So those are the ones that you want to go after. So pretty much get the address, figure out who owns it. You can do this from your tax records site, plug in the address and it'll give you the homeowner's name. If you have a software like PropStream or Batch Leads, if you plug in the address, it'll give you the name, and then you can skip trace to get the actual phone number and then give them a call. Let's talk about softwares. So there's four major softwares that you're going to hear about for the most part, PropStream, Batch Leads, Privy, and the Flipster software. I've been lucky to kind of play around with all of them. And at the end of the day, they all do the same thing, right? They're all a data company. They all offer you information. And one of the things that I get questioned a lot is, what do these softwares actually do? Like, what do they actually offer you? So I'm going to play this video really quickly that kind of breaks down exactly how to use PropStream, what is PropStream, what it offers you, and then it kind of goes in depth into skip tracing and on-market deals. And the video will kind of explain everything for you guys. So I just want to play that video real quickly, and then we can kind of go through the softwares a little more in depth afterwards. So as soon as you create an account with PropStream, this is sort of what you're looking at. It really covers every state, every city, every county. So obviously you want to filter it to the spot that you want to do business in. So if you're going to do it by county, if you're going to areas in town, the worst areas in town, the places where investors are buying. And if you don't know this information, this is what you should be doing.
So as soon as you pick an area, these are kind of the pre-made filters already set by PropStream. You have MLS leads, you have pre-foreclosures, you have properties that are actually in the auction, you have bank-owned. This is typically one that we stay away from. It's a lot harder to wholesale bank-owned properties. Next one is the cash buyers list, liens, vacant, and high equity. And this is not the only list that it provides. It actually has more filters once you go on filters. So on market, liens, pre-foreclosure, auction, the classic ones, but it also has free and clear, bankruptcy, divorce, tax delinquents, flippers, failed listings, senior owners, vacant land, tired landlords, zombie properties, and pre-probate. So all of these are included as well with PropStream. So when you go on PropStream, you're picking an area. Typically, when you have a property, this is what it usually gives you in terms of a lot of people joining. Let me check the chat as well. All right. If anyone has any questions, just please make sure to put it on the chat. I know I muted everyone, just so it doesn't get too loud in here. But if you have any questions or need something re-clarified, just shoot a message on here for me. But when you have a property, this is the information that it gives you. It gives you the owner's name, their mailing address if it's not the same as the actual property address. So typically if it's absentee owner, you'll see a different mailing address. Property characteristics, bedroom, bathroom. You always want to confirm this information. It's not always accurate. The same with Zillow. As much as they give you all this information, sometimes people do additions, sometimes people remove walls. So when you're on the phone with a homeowner, you do want to try and double check the bedroom and bathroom count. Building size, a lot of the land and location information. So lot size, zoning are usually good information to have, especially if you're working with land. Again, for people that didn't know, you can wholesale land as well. You really do want to know the lot size and the zoning. What can you possibly build on that land? So this is what PropStream offers you when you actually have an account with them. Again, they offer a 7-day free trial. I believe it's linked in the resources as well. What zoning? So zoning is what you can build on the property. So usually in R3 zoning, in Jersey for the most part, R3 zoning means it's a 3-story, so you can build up to a 3-family. Usually if it's like an R1 or R2, everyone has their own, and the way that you figure out what the zoning actually means is usually on Google. So I can show you like Plainfield zoning, actually, and it'll explain what all of it means. Every state and every city has its own little website in terms of understanding the zoning and the zoning map. But it's basically just to figure out what you can possibly build on that property. Everything is set differently. So if it was like commercial, multi-use, industrial, everything would be put into that zoning category. Let's see. So in terms of filters, so I think that's one of the biggest questions that people have is what type of filters that you want to do. And typically owner occupied is if the owner actually lives on the property, right? So if the owner actually lives on the property, you would write yes. If you want the owner that doesn't live on the property, so usually like tenant occupied properties or where the homeowner ends up giving it to a family member, you'll see a lot of that as you go along. But typically I prefer non-owner occupied properties. And the reason for that is when you're working with owner occupied homes, so the owner actually lives in that property, when you're trying to wholesale it, we try to move fast, right? That's the whole concept of wholesaling. When they physically live in that property, you have to wait for them to relocate. You have to wait for them to either find a new spot. You have to wait for them to, whether they're moving to a different state, whether they're finding a new property. So it kind of just makes your time frame a lot longer. So they don't sign the contracts automatically. They kind of wait until they have like a set foundation of where they're going to move to. So typically I prefer non-owner occupied homes, absentee owners. We can deal with tenant occupied homes. That's no issue. We can deal with, another family member in the property, as long as it's not the actual owner, because it's very hard to remove the actual owner from a house, especially if you're in a state like New Jersey, where it's tenant friendly compared to landlord friendly states. But typically, so I would go with owner occupied as no. Occupancy status, I'm not too worried for the most part about if it's being occupied or vacant. Obviously, vacant is a better criteria, but it does shrink your list a lot more. I think vacant has about 143 people on the list. So I don't want 143, I want a little bit more. But when we switched it from owner occupied, the list went from 10,000 to 7,000. So we're getting there in terms of filters. The next thing, and usually the most important one, is we don't want to deal with on market at the moment. So on market, we would write no. And here's the reason for that. I think a lot of people, jump into the whole going for MLS deals, which you absolutely can, but not for your first deal. So when you're dealing with on market deals, you're dealing with a real estate agent. And typically that real estate agent has to use their contract, right? By law, they have to use their contract. You can't use your own wholesaling contract. So now you have to convince this real estate agent to first off take a low offer, right? Because you don't want the same price that's on Zillow, because every investor is going to see that price and just wait and go through the agent and not go through you. So now you have to get a lower offer from the real estate agent. You have to get the contract to become assignable. So 3 contingencies that you want on the contract. You want the contract to be assignable, you want the deposit to be refundable, and then you want a inspection period of at least 30 days so you can have time to market that contract. So all 3 things need to be set in this real estate agent's contract. So in wholesaling, I prefer to be in control of the entire transaction. So typically I'd rather use my own contract rather than using a real estate agent's contract. And for the most part, a lot of real estate agents don't fully understand wholesaling in terms of a transaction standpoint. So there's a big risk in them potentially ruining the deal, right? Because they do the wrong thing, they say the wrong thing. And it's incentivized for them because they get double the commission in a sense, but at the same time, you're still splitting funds, you're still splitting in terms of profits, right? You have to put that into consideration, that the investor has to pay your assignment fee, has to pay the real commission. So there's a lot that comes into it in terms of working with on-market deals. Typically, I try to just stay away from them. But if it is a really good deal, if it really is worth it, then absolutely you can so go for it. Just keep in mind, you are dealing with a real estate agent and not directly with the homeowner. Can you run comps on PropStream? Because someone told me that if they can run comps on PropStream instead of running it themselves. So you can run comps on PropStream. I'll show you exactly how it works. What if the seller you contact has an agent already? So then, yeah, they're on market deals. If they already have an agent, then it is an on market deal. So typically they would lead you to their agent because they signed a contract with the agent. Unless they didn't sign a contract with the agent, then it's a whole different story. Then you can deal directly with the homeowner. So MLS status says no. Property characteristics is always a great one in terms of if you want to filter it down, if you want to do just land, if you want to do just multifamily, if you want to do just single family, it gives you all the filters right there in front of you. You can even do it by the year built. You can do it by bedrooms. You can literally filter it to any types of list that you want. The other one that's really important is ownership info. So a minimum years. So how many years have they owned the property? Typically, the statistic for it is every 7 years, typically someone does move out of the property. Like 7 years is the average in terms of homeowner length. So a lot of wholesalers are going to put that 7 years. I go with number 3. It really is just a numbers thing. So I put it as they've owned the property for at least 3 years. Right, and it's going to filter the list automatically. So now we're down to 6,000, right? Another thing is the sales price. So typically the average home here in Jersey falls within that $300,000 range, right? So in terms, most of our offers fall, or we try to fall within that 300,000 range or under. So typically you want to figure out this number for your state and for your city. So minimum sales price, I tried to put it as at least maximum. They bought it for at least $350,000 because I'm trying to offer them less than this amount. So that's kind of how I filter it off. You can also have it as absentee owner, lives out of state, out of country. Again, all of these are all up to you. You can play around with the filters. Eventually, you're going to want to play around with the filters. So this is kind of like a great way to go about it. let's see. But yeah, 4,727. So when you have a PropStream account, they offer you 10,000 leads every single month. So if I were to go through this list, 4,727, I basically just click on it, add to the list, create a new list. I'd name the list whatever I wanted to name it. So PropStream. Oh, that's already on PropStream. Usually on your Excel sheet, you want to tell if it's a PropStream or not. But typically, I would just save it as Plainfield absentee owner under 350. Okay. And then I would just save it. Once you save the list, I'm showing you exactly where you guys can find it. It's going to be in my properties section. I'll use another one here. Let's do a good one. All right. So this is your list, right? It's going to give you all this information. You want to export it out as an Excel. So you're going to press on it and basically export it. And I'll show you how it looks like in the Excel sheet. I know a lot of people have the question in terms of editing it on the actual Excel sheet. So here's your sheet. Right, address, city, state, zip, county, owner's first name, owner's last name, the second owner's first name, second owner's last name, their mailing addresses, and then information about the property. So this is what PropStream offers you. This is exactly it. This is your list. Your job is to actually skip trace the list next because you need the phone numbers, right? That's a question. All right. I'm seeing a lot of the questions. I'll get right into them. But typically this is the file, right? For me, I prefer working with Google Sheets. So for me, I'd go and actually go on Sheets. Right, you're gonna do a blank document, file, open, upload, and then I'm gonna take that file that we just got. Right, and then we're gonna open it with Google Sheets. Google Sheets is free if you don't have Microsoft Excel. If you don't want to use any other software, it's right here. One of the persons asked how to download it as a CSV. So file, download, CSV. Once you press this, it's going to download it for you as a CSV. A lot of softwares, a lot of systems are going to ask you for a CSV file. That's exactly how you do it. Just file, download, CSV. Now this is your file, right? You're going to need this in terms of uploading it for skip tracing. You're going to need it in terms of uploading it for the text blasting, for the cold calling dialers. These are the files that you're going to need. But guess what? You're going to need to skip trace these. So in terms of skip tracing, there's a lot of softwares that you can use. Either you're going with Skip Butler, Skip Matrix. You can skip trace right on PropStream as well. They have a skip tracing site right there. Costs 12 cents to skip trace. So it's up to you in terms of which company and which software that you want to use to skip trace. And for those that don't know, skip tracing is getting the phone numbers, right? So that's how you typically go through a list on PropStream. You play around with the filters. I think someone asked about 10,000. Yeah, so they give you 10,000. So you can see it here. If I were to download this one, it's going to say you have 10,000 saves remaining this billing period. Your quantity will reset to 10,000 on February 15th. So that's how it works. Let's see. So the leads are the way to get deals, and then you're going to text or call them. After you do that, what's next? After you call them or text them, you wait for someone to potentially say yes, they're interested in selling. And once they are, you get information about the property, general condition, motivation, timeline, price, as much information as you can about the property, and then you make them an offer. And if they agree to that offer, you send them a contract. Once they sign that contract, now it's your job to market that contract and try to find a buyer for that contract. Typically an investor, a fix and flipper, a contractor, someone that usually works with distressed properties. So you assign the contract to them, get it locked up on both ways from the homeowner and from the investor, send both of these contracts to title company and close the transaction. I know that was kind of like a quick summary of it, but yeah, typically this is the first part. This is the hardest part in terms of wholesaling. It's these lists and the calling, right? You pull these lists, you call, you text, you reach out to these homeowners, and you can kind of see where the expense comes into place, right? A lot of the times you're paying $99 a month for PropStream, right? You're pulling the list and then you have to skip trace it, which is also a percentage, 12 cents, 10 cents, typically the average for skip tracing. And then once you have the phone numbers, now you have to use either a dialer, or you can use like a Google Voice number, or you can use a texting platform like REI Reply, and we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. And then you're reaching out to them. I didn't know there was no sheet names and other with numbers, things that I didn't know that. Yeah, so PropStream for the $99 a month, they're not giving you skip tracing. They're not giving you phone numbers. All they're giving you is the address and the owner's name. That's about it. It's your job to kind of go about finding the skip tracing part. If you want to do it kind of like the manual way, which is, obviously not the greatest, but it is possible. If you go on True People Search, right? And you just reverse the address. So we're going to take this address. We're going to search it up, double check the name. We have Thomas. So that's who we want. We go to Thomas and there's the number. So this is like the freeway, but then again, if you're going through a list of 4,000 names and doing this one by one, it does take a little bit of time. But again, it's completely possible. And this was completely free. 100% free. And you have the phone numbers. So you can call up these two phone numbers. If you want to use a system in terms of skip tracing, there's a lot out there. I believe in the resources. There's one that's offering you 500 free skip traces for direct skip. It's the free trial. So you would take a list of 500. So typically I'd go with something that has 500 or filter this down to 500. So like for the liens list, there's 464. Take this entire list, go on direct skip, upload the list, and get the 500 free skip traces. But there's a lot of other softwares in terms of skip tracing. I think something else that people talk about in terms of PropStream, and even batch leads, they all kind of do the same thing. But if you go through a list that's a lien, right? And then you go through a list that's vacant, and if the property has both liens and vacant, you're pulling the same lead twice. So you're basically using your 10,000 on the same list sometimes, and there's not really a way to filter it through. The only thing that PropStream does offer in terms of a list is if you have it saved as my property. So if it's Essex County land, right? If a new property fits into this criteria of these filters, they will send you an email and say, hey, 3 new properties fit your criteria of Essex County land. And then you can use those properties. It also updates you on what's happened so far within that list. So if it's like Union County land, like 11 are on the market, 5 just sold. But that's really all that it offers in terms of automations or organization. Share my screen for you guys. Let's go talk about cash buyers. So you see how you have cash buyers right here. The way that you want to filter it is specifically non-owner occupied. Typically, if it's a flipper, if you're looking for a cash buyer, they don't live in the house, right? They're a cash buyer for a reason. They're an investor for a reason. So owner occupied, you would go for no. Occupancy status doesn't really fully matter just because it can be tenant occupied. It could be vacant. Property characteristics. So if you're going towards a single family home, usually you do typically want to go and look for a single family investor, someone that did a property as a single family. But that's just if you really want to filter it down, very, very niche list. But usually I keep this open. Really, the biggest thing that you want to do is the number of properties owned. So the cash buyer list on PropStream just shows you people that have paid in cash, right? That's the filter, people that paid in cash. Now, there are regular homeowners that pay for a property in cash, whether they bought it really early on, like this one, they bought it for $61,000. That's a really cheap price. Maybe they just purchased it as a regular homeowner. So one of the filters that I like to do in terms of it is at least own 2 properties or 3 properties, right? That way you can actually see who are actual cash buyers and who's just a regular homeowner that happens to actually just buy a property in cash. And that would be right here in this section.
Thank you.
No problem. In terms of comps, since we're on the subject itself, so we're gonna go on vacant. We're gonna pick this first one over here. Once you click on the property, you saw how these gives you all the property details, right? This whole entire section gives you the property details. The next part is comparables and nearby listings. So automatically PropStream gives you a bunch of comps in terms of price. It also gives you an average sales price right here. Typically same as a Zillow's estimate. So it's not fully accurate, but it's as close as you're going to get in terms of what they're offering you. You can filter it in terms of square footage. You can filter it in terms of distance. You can filter it in terms of bedroom, bathroom count, the year built. It gives you both public records and the MLS records. But this is what we're really looking at. The only issue that I have with PropStream instead of with comps, you know, with Zillow, when you scroll down to, let's go to agent listings. When you're looking at a property in Zillow, right? If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, it gives you potential ones that have sold. Let's see, right? Potential comps, similar homes, and it shows you pictures. So that way you can kind of compare it in a sense, right? And then even if you're not doing it this way, you can always go on Zillow sold. You can switch this filter from for sale to sold. And now you can check properties that have actually sold. And you're kind of comparing it to the property that you have on hand, how much it sold for, when did it sell for. But PropStream doesn't fully offer you the picture aspect of it. So you literally have to go and search up the property, figure out how it looks like, and see if it looks like the one that you have on hand. Because one of the things when you're figuring out comps is the property should somewhat look the same, right? You want them to be identical in terms of style. You don't want a house that looks like a two-family, two-story, and then one that's like a completely one flat story house, right? Typically, you want the properties to look somewhat the same. So that's the only thing that I would say in terms of finding comps on PropStream. You just got to go through the extra step of checking the properties actually look similar. But it gives you the sold price, it gives you when it sold, and then of course, if you want more information, you literally just click on it and it gives you more details on that property deal. So that's how it works in terms of comps. Typically, you want to get at least 3 or 4 very good comparables to the property that you're trying to get. And then find that average number, and that's your ARV, which is your after repair value, which basically means after the house is all fixed up, this is how much it's going to sell for. And the way that you find out is by looking at houses that have sold in the area that are in either very good or perfect condition.
Hello, I have a question.
Go for it.
So on what you said of the cash buyers, whenever we have the list niched out, how do you act where they
Toolbox, are the literally exact same thing.
I look at the property and it doesn't have
Typically old. So just let me. I looks compared to let's go over to batch leads. In terms of pricing, yeah. So they're a little cheaper. They're $79 a month. Compared to PropStream's $99 a month, and they also give you 10,000 leads. Let's log in. So same interface as you saw with PropStream. Plug in an area. I think someone asked which one's the best one. Let's say, so we searched up Plainfield, New Jersey over here. There's 15,000 records. We'll go on PropStream and search up the exact same thing. Plainfield, New Jersey, clear all the filters. 10,000. So this one offers you about 5,000 more. That's a big difference. Again, I guess this was just one example. I'm pretty sure if I picked another city, it would be completely different. But in terms of which one you'd rather pick, it really is up to you in terms of price. They both offer free trials as well, so you can play around with them and see which one fits your needs. Same thing in terms of filters. They offer the exact same thing: occupancy status, vacancy status, filters and characteristics, MLS statuses, and even those filters that you saw that PropStream had over on top, Batchleads has it on the bottom. So exact same process. Once you press on the deal, it gives you also all the details as well, all the details, and it gives you comparables also as well. And then if you wanted to save a list, so we're going to go with, let's say, list, you would select it, select all, and then you would add it. Same thing, create a new list, and you would do whatever the list is called, and then save it. Once you save it, it is also on my list, and then you would select the properties and then import them out. Same process. They're also giving you the address, the city, the state, the zip code, the owner's name and last name. And then you would have to go skip tracing it. In terms of skip tracing, batch leads, I believe, is 20 cents. Double check. Let's say I want to skip trace this one. Skip trace. 14 cents. So they changed the price. So this one's 14 cents, PropStream is 12 cents. So you can skip trace directly on their sites, but these are the costs for it. And the same thing with PropStream. The ones that you want to skip trace, literally plug them in, action, skip trace, and it tells you. So I don't know if you guys want me to go more in depth in terms of it, but it's the exact same thing in terms.
All right, so that was kind of a quick overview. We could have kind of done it in the presentation, but we had already went through this lesson with our mentorship group. So I figured I might as well just share it with you guys because it kind of went over everything in terms of PropStream and batch leads. With Privy and with the other one, the Flipster software, they kind of do the exact same thing, same process. They all have the same filters. They all have the same breakdown. And then their cost for skip tracing is also like above 12 cents, above 10 cents. I don't think Flipster offers skip tracing for, I guess now it does. It used to not, but yeah, just wanted to kind of share that video and kind of break it down for you guys. But let me actually go into a little bit more in depth with the actual softwares. Let's go. All right, PropStream batch leads, you guys already know them. They're the ones that are widely talked about. They're the ones that have sort of the most data. Privy is kind of a newer one that came across. I've tested it out. Same thing, same process, same data, same price. They all range within that $79 to $99 a month, and they all give you between, I would say, 5,000 to 10,000 leads a month. Flipster software is the only one that's a little bit different. It doesn't have that much data compared to the other ones. It's also $99 a month. I know it has like ringless voicemails and campaigns throughout the system, but compared to the amount of data that's on the other ones, it really doesn't compete just yet. Realty Track is another one for investors and buyers. Again, the benefits of all these tools and something else that I kind of want to add is most of these have free trials, right? PropStream has a 7-day free trial. Batch Leads has a 7-day free trial. Podio has a free plan. Podio is more of a CRM. Privy used to have a free trial. I'm not sure if they still have it. And then the Flipster software, I know Jerry Norton had something of, you can use, I think, 100 leads for $1. That was like his trial plan to get you started. But all of these have free trials. Search it up, play with the software, figure out which one you like best, which interface is easier for you to use, and then you can use that type of software. Let's kind of go to the next one, skip tracing. So this is important, right? Skip tracing becomes a very key component to wholesaling, right? You need phone numbers, and you need good phone numbers. Unless you're just calling random people wrong numbers, it's a waste of time and a waste of resources. So skip tracing becomes very, very important. Now, I want to share Direct Skip as one of the first ones, just because they do offer a free trial, right? When I first started, I utilized free trials to the maximum, right? I made multiple PropStream accounts. I made multiple batch leads account. I made multiple Direct Skip accounts. You know, the reason for that is when we're first starting out, we don't want to pay as, we don't want to spend too much on this, right? We try to mitigate the cost until we get proof of concept. And then we're able to kind of splurge, right? We want to get that first deal. And then it's like, I'm gonna use all that money and that assignment fee to actually pay for these resources, which, some people think that way, which is completely how I think when I first started, which I wouldn't say I regret, but I wish I had actually put money and invested in myself, because I would have went through wholesaling a lot faster and succeeded maybe a little earlier on compared to, doing things the free way, the manual way, and wasting a lot of time and sweat equity. But at the end of the day, it still works, right? Whichever direction that you're going to go for, whether you're using actual equity or sweat equity, which is, hard work and going through these free trials, they both work. Just one might be a little bit faster and more efficient than the other one. So for those that are first starting out, always recommend get a free trial with batch leads and PropStream, get a couple of leads, skip trace it for free at direct skip. And now you have 500 to 1,000 free leads that you can play around with. So that's always something I'm going to recommend for you guys. All right, let's talk about skip tracing more in depth. So there's a lot of websites that do skip tracing. There's so many. PropStream does it, Batch Leads does it, Fiverr, Lead Sherpa, Skip Matrix, Skip Trace Butler. All of these companies do skip tracing. So when I first started out, I wanted to figure out which one was the best, which one has the best data, which one gives the best information. So I did my own little case study that I want to share with you guys. If you guys have watched one of my previous videos, you'll see of this case study. But if you haven't, we're kind of going to go over it really quickly. So what I did is I bought 200 leads from every single software. I bought it from PropStream, Batch Leads, Lead Sherpa, Skip Matrix, Fiverr, Skip Butler, Smarter Contact. Bought 200 leads, same state, same absentee owner list. I tried to make this as close as possible, right? I couldn't get the same list for each and every single one of them because when I wanted to do the contact part, I would be calling the same list 8 times. So I couldn't do that. So I used different lists, but it was the same state. It was the same category filter. So we try to get as close as possible. So these are the prices. PropStream is 12 cents. Batch Leads used to be 20 cents. It is now 14 cents. They're now being competitive. Lead Sherpa is at 15 cents. Skip Matrix is at 10 cents. Fiverr is around 7 cents. It's a little bit lower. It really ranges between that 5 to 6. And I want to say something about Fiverr. So what Fiverr agents are doing when they're skip tracing for you is they're doing the True People Search way. So the way that you were doing manually, that's how they do it. And True People Search isn't the best way, right? It's not as updated as constantly compared to these other softwares that are getting data straight from the credit bureaus or whatever information they're getting it from. But Fiverr is literally just a bunch of people, call centers that are just going on True People Search, giving you a manual skip tracing. So it's not ideal, but when you're first starting out, it gets the job done. And we can kind of see their hit rate afterwards and see that it wasn't as bad as you would think. Next one is Skip Butler. So Skip Butler is partnered with REI Reply. So if you have an REI Reply account, you get it for 5 cents. If not, it is 10 cents. If you want it at 5 cents, you have to pay like $50 a month for Skip Butler. So I just want to keep that in mind for prices. Smarter Contact is at 15 cents. I should add another one right here for Wholesale Discord, but we'll talk about that later on. Because when we first started, skip tracing became one of our most expensive costs, right? You get all these lists and all these leads, but guess what? I need phone numbers for all these leads. When PropStream is giving you 10,000 a month, and you're paying $99 a month to get those 10,000. That doesn't include the cost of skip tracing it. When you skip trace 10,000 leads at 0.12 cents, this becomes a very expensive thing. So let's kind of talk about it. So these are the costs of the skip tracing, how much it cost me to get these lists skip traced. This is the hit rate. So this is how many they actually found. So out of the 200 leads that I plugged in, PropStream only found 173. Batch Leads only found 146. Lead Sherpa only found 137. Which was very disappointing. Skip Matrix, 182, Fiverr, 133, Skip Butler, 160, and Smarter Contact, 156. So none of them are going to give you 100% hit rate. As much as they advertise it or say it, it's not possible. There's always going to be certain properties that they're not going to find the number for. And it's usually those LLCs, those trusts, those government-owned properties. It's really, really hard to get accurate phone numbers for those. If it's just a regular residential, you'll have better luck getting phone numbers. So I kind of took this case study to the next level. Rather than just seeing hit rates, I wanted to see how good these numbers are. So I figured out, let me send all of these on a text blasting software and see who actually replies and how many wrong numbers I get. So people love texting you, you got the wrong number. You got the wrong guy. That's not me. Wrong number. So I was able to kind of figure out which numbers gave the best data. So PropStream, out of the 200 leads, 60 people replied, 11 were wrong numbers. Not bad at all compared to the other ones. Batch leads, which was honestly the most disappointing because at that time it was the most expensive at 20 cents. It gave 52 replies, but over 16 were wrong numbers. And if you compare it to Fiverr that's doing things manually, they got less wrong numbers than batch leads. Next one is Lead Sherpa, 45 replies, 10 wrong numbers. Skip Matrix, 62 replies. This was one of the best ones, and 10 wrong numbers. Fiverr, 32 replies, 13 wrong numbers. Skip Butler, 33 replies, 10 wrong numbers. And then Smarter Contact, 46 replies and 12 wrong numbers. So this is a great case study. At least for me, it was kind of trying to figure out which softwares are the best. And then we took it a step even further and created our own skip tracing software. We took all of this data, we took all of this information, we figured out their sources, we figured out where they're getting their numbers from, we figured out how they're doing things, and then we went and did the exact same thing and made it even better. So for skip tracing at Wholesale Discord, we have something similar. We really wanted to focus on that affordability, which was the biggest thing. And then the same thing as I would do lead case studies here, I did it with my own list, with my own software. I tested it out, made sure that these numbers are as accurate as possible. Again, nothing is going to be 100% perfect, but we're trying to get as close as we can and not trying to take a hit in our pockets, right? So that's what we came up with the Wholesale Discord skip tracing service. And we'll talk about that later on, but I did want to kind of include it. That way you guys have a full range of every software. Obviously I'm biased because Wholesale Discord is one of mine, but you guys have all the information right in front of you of all the other competitors. So it is always going to be your choice on which one you'd rather use. All right, before we start the next part, just want to kind of open the floor for Q&As for that first section. We have 2 more sections to go over, so let's get a couple questions and answers done for that first part. Let's see. Let's see. All right, so a couple of questions. All right, what were the 3 contract contingencies? All right, so when you're working on market deals, one of the 3 contingencies you're going to need is the first one is a assignable contract. You want to be able to assign that contract to an investor, right? That's when you're working on market. When you're working with on market deals, you need to use a real estate agent's contract. You can't use your own. So these are the 3 things you're asking them to do. You want the contracts to be assignable. You want the deposit to be refundable. You don't want to lose money in this deal. You don't want it non-refundable. That means if you give them money for that deposit, they're not giving it back to you if you walk away from the deal. So you want to make it refundable. And the third thing is you want an inspection period. You want time to go market that contract and find a buyer. So typically we ask for 30 days. The reason for that, most investors are going to need at least 2 weeks to close, right? They're going to need it. Even if they close as fast as possible, they're going to need at least 10 days. You still have inspections. They still got to go see the property. They got to bring their contractor to the property. You got to go through title work. You're going to need at least 10 to 14 days. And then the other 14 days is for you to find a buyer, right? You have 2 weeks to go find a buyer and then 2 weeks for that buyer to close. So you want a 30-day inspection period. If you can find a buyer that same day, you won't need 30 days. You might just need 15 or 20 days. So that's how we do it. You want an inspection period of at least 30 days. You want the contract to be assignable, and then you want that deposit to be refundable. So those are the 3 big ones. And then you also want the price to be lower than Zillow. First thing an investor is going to do is go search it up on Zillow. If it's on Zillow for 100,000 and you're trying to assign it to him for 110 or 120, they're not going to go with you. Absolutely not. So you're trying to get it at like 70, market it out at 80, and that way they can see that they're getting a discount if they go with you rather than going with the agent that has it listed for 100,000. Once you have a deal under contract, what is the average time it takes to find a buyer? So this is a great question. It really depends on the deal, right? If you have a good deal that is profitable to an investor, you're going to move this very, very quickly, especially in very saturated areas. So here in Jersey, Essex County, Union County, Passaic County, Bergen County, these are very highly saturated areas. If you have a good deal, you can move it the same day. If you go down to like Cumberland County or Salem County, which is like more of like South Jersey, not a lot of stuff happening down there. It might take a lot longer to find a buyer to close a deal, just because there's not that many investors down there doing projects. But it really depends on the deal. You have a good deal where the numbers make sense and investor is going to make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 profit. It might be a potential to close within the same day. And then the way that you market it. We'll talk about cash buyers towards the end and the ways to find cash buyers. And that will kind of show you like different avenues that you can take to find a cash buyer really, really quickly. Any questions, you can write it straight on the chat. We'll take a couple more and then we'll start on the next section. What were the states again that we cannot use the contracts in? So it's not that you can't use the contract, you can't wholesale. So in Illinois, you can only do one deal a year. That's it. After that, you need a real estate license. And then you got to wait until 2024 to do another wholesaling deal if you have no real estate license. The city of Philly. So all of Pennsylvania is fine, except the city of Philly, you have to get a wholesaling license. It's like $200. It takes a couple of weeks. You take a test and now you're a wholesaler. You're a licensed wholesaler and you're able to wholesale. The other one is Arkansas. You need a real estate license. And then there's a lot of rules and regulations I've heard that are coming up in like places like Georgia, but you can still wholesale deal there completely legally. It's just, disclosure. That's the biggest thing that people are going to do. After getting the contract, or there's two questions. All right. Hi, Souad, where can we find your video of the deal you did that was step-by-step? I know it got removed from YouTube. I just reposted it a couple of days ago, so it's back up. He's talking about a video that I did almost a year ago, but the video got taken down a couple months ago. It was a full breakdown of A to Z, a complete deal. We did it straight from a Fiverr list. And then we did it with literally $15. But that video was removed. I just re-uploaded it back up. After getting the contract signed with the seller, how do you promote or market the contract to investors? Can you show an example or blueprint? We're going to go through that with section 3. I have a video already set up for that, completely how to find it, how to build your cash buyer database. And then I think it's like 10 different ways to find buyers. So we'll be going through that. Public records, we call our county clerks. Yes, you do. Jay has new laws. Yeah, someone posted it on the Bigger Pockets forum that they are having new rules and regulations. So always join these forums, join these investor groups on Facebook. People are always posting about it. I'm not 100% sure what exactly the new rule is. You can still wholesale legally without a license, but it's like you have to disclose something in the contract. So I'd recommend just getting that searched. Can a foreigner do this in the US? What recommendations would you give in this situation? Partner up. That's really the biggest one. You're going to need a partner for the most part to go see the property, take photos of the property. You're going to need boots on the ground. And then for closing, I'm not 100% sure how it works for foreigners. So I would recommend having a partner to JV with. You bring the deal, they find the buyer, lock it up, and get it on their contract and sold. Will you go over virtual wholesaling? So virtual wholesaling and traditional wholesaling are the exact same thing. The only difference is you're going to need boots on the ground. When you're wholesaling in your own neighborhood, you're able to go down there and take photos. When you're doing virtual, you have to basically ask the homeowner to send you photos, hop on a Zoom call with them, hop on FaceTime with them, hire boots on the ground to go out there, which is literally a Facebook post saying, hey, can someone go to a property in this town willing to pay? And it's usually 25, 30, 40 bucks. And they'll go take photos of the property. But that's really how virtual wholesaling works. It's the same process, same contracts, same acquisition and dispo part. The only difference is when you're not able to go down there, you hire someone to go down there for you. Let's see.
Hey. Somebody had a question here about building your team. How would you recommend to build a team, including CPA, attorney, and etc.? Why don't we do this? So since questions are here, and a lot of these questions that are being asked are going to be covered on the next one. Why don't you take a 3-minute break? Everyone, by all means, stretch your legs, fix your computer screens, whatever you got to do. We're going to take a 2-minute break. In the meantime, I'm going to answer the question building, the team building question while while Souad gets ready for the next part of the presentation. So look, coming from someone who's sort of built the real estate businesses or companies by exactly that, by building teams. I take this question quite deeply. First of all, look, as far as wholesaling goes, your team doesn't necessarily need to be that extensive. What you truly always, I mean, at the very least for me, when it comes to wholesaling, two major components, parts of your team. Number one, a title company. You need that title company that's flexible with some of the structures that you're going to put forth. Specifically, let's say subject to. Subject to is probably one of the most high liability type of structures that a title company may or may not be willing to do. As far as regular, I guess your standard wholesale deal, like Souad mentioned, different states have different rules as to what kind of disclosures the title company is going to require from you. If you're wondering when these disclosures come and when this paperwork happens, it truly is a title company nowadays, a title company responsibility to have some of these addendums, some of these disclosures in place. So I would say as a wholesaler, first and foremost, that title company, which by the way, if I'm not exactly sure if you aren't part of our mentorship, one of the links on that mentorship is an entire list of title companies we found. Well, we didn't find, we put together around the US. So every state has, I believe, like at least 3 title companies that are very savvy with this, very up and up, and they understand the process and they don't have any issues with it. So that's number one. Number two, arguably a lawyer or a realtor, right? A realtor, you need a realtor for the purposes of having an extra set of eyes. Like Souad said, not necessarily deals per se. A lot of realtors are not gonna have a listing that they want you to buy, unless of course it needs a lot of work or whatever the case. But it works the other way around though. If you're able to build a relationship with a realtor or a broker, and you explain to them the benefit of an off-market listing, if you coach a realtor on how to legally structure an off-market deal on their end, not on your end, then you have a way, you have an avenue there. The idea would be for the realtor to contact you before he goes and puts it on the MLS, right, on the market. Seller calls them, tells them they need to sell their house quickly. The house needs a lot of work. Instead of being a super realtor and putting it on the MLS, they say, well, I know a guy, or in this case, I know a gal who buys houses, right, and contacts Souad. That line of communication breaks the chain of liability for the realtor. So it all changes the minute they actually put these things on a signed listing agreement. The lawyer really comes third. I know some of you guys don't play with attorneys in your state. You don't have to. In reality, neither do we. But just coming up in this business, I learned to get along with lawyers and B, hire the right ones for different methods. And as you evolve, you realize that a lawyer is probably the most important part of your team. Title becomes secondary, all that stuff becomes just services. But a well-groomed lawyer, an intelligent, a smart lawyer, someone who understands transactions really, could be of a whole lot of help. Not just helping you structure deals, but helping you scale, helping you understand how to structure not just a house wholesale deal per se, but maybe a commercial wholesale, right? So those are probably the most important 3. The 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th, I would say, and I'll let Souad elaborate a little more on this. It's free labor. We believe in interns. I was an intern. I know Souad was an intern back in college. So we believe in interns and we believe in value, right? When you bring those two together, you're bringing an amazing set of skills, especially on the marketing side of things, for generally young individuals who want nothing more in the world but to put their creativity in use, their time, their willingness. So, and I'll leave you guys with this. We have the regular direct to seller type of campaigns, which you guys are learning about, but we have another pipeline that we run where all we buy, well, that pipeline buys is sheriff sales, right? So the entire focus of the pipeline is to buy sheriff sales every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in 4 different municipalities around New Jersey. And it's still wholesale, a little bit different. We have to put a 20% deposit on these things. But it doesn't change the fact that you whether you're doing a regular deal or a share sale deal, you need the most help you can, right? So going back to the building teams, about 3 months ago, I'm sorry, what am I saying? This is last summer. So last summer we decided to really grow our share of sale pipeline. At that point, we were only doing 2 counties, and it really was Souad and I. We decided to target 4 to 5 counties, and the way to do it was by hiring, well, sorry guys, by bringing interns, and we trained them. We gave them, for those of you guys that know us, we're big on Podio. We do a lot with Podio, and we created an entire share of sale app that they could use for due diligence, for research, and all this different stuff that they would do on the ground while looking at these houses the day or the day before the auction. And all that data gets sent in to us, specifically us, the buyers, right? So Souad, myself, my partners, we all have this information, and we go to the auctions to make these bids and buy these houses. So that group, the original group of interns, was 12 individuals, from college grads to kids in grad school to kids that were just graduating high school. And ultimately, they all took away a very, very useful skill. They all learned how to look at any given crappy house in any given neighborhood and have a fairly good understanding of the cost of how much this property would cost to renovate, and therefore pass that information to us so we can make the appropriate bid on them. So anyways, building your team is important. Interns are incredibly important. Strong legal team, amazing. And title, if you need any information on title companies, there's a dime a dozen. We can definitely refer you in. And I'll leave you with that, guys. I'm gonna have Souad back in here, and she's gonna get started with the second part to this. I mean, the first part was great. I think the second one, I know the second part is big for a lot of you guys. We ran into the common issues with SMS, blast, power dialers, and all those combinations. So we actually went ahead and packaged these things for you. We're going to show you what we use and why we use it. And we're going to show you what others use, how they're using it, and the cost of that usage. The reason this is important is, and I'll end with this. My mom used to say, if you're going to be a cowboy, then you better have the best guns in the field, right? That's the idea here. I hope you guys enjoy the next section of this, and I hope it brings a lot of value to you guys. And of course, you pick the best gun you can. Good luck with everything. I'll be here.
Thank you for that. Yeah, exactly what had Mario said. This part is really going to focus on the software aspect. We're going to cover pricing. We're going to cover what they offer. And then we're going to also cover the new rules and regulations that are coming up. Like I saw a comment about the texting. Yes, the texting is a big one. Everyone's having issues with it, but we'll show you guys how it's done. Basic components you should have is a CRM. Basically a tool to kind of organize and fix everything up for you. A CRM is really vital, especially if you want to organize things. One thing you're going to realize is when you're getting all these leads, all these lists, especially for proption, like you have 10,000 homeowners informations, you don't know who you've called, you don't know who you've texted, you know who you've sent an offer to. So being organized becomes really, really important. Next one is a phone, right? You don't want to use your own phone. This is a mistake that I did when I first started out. I used my own personal number, and I completely ended up ruining that cell phone number. I got banned, scam likely, everything, you name it, from that number, because I was texting, calling hundreds of people a day on my own personal cell. So you want to use something like a Google Voice or a dial pad or some sort of software that gives you a secondary phone number. You don't want to use your own personal cell. Next one's a power dialer. Power dialers are pretty much like automatic dialers. Like instead of going manually and plugging in the phone number and then calling, these automatically do it. You upload a list and they're just calling. Someone doesn't answer, goes on to the next one. Someone does answer, puts the rest of the lines on hold. Power dialers are either single, triple. I've seen some that are like 5 lines, and I've also seen some that are like 10 lines, which is a little excessive. I don't need 10 phone numbers ringing at the same time. Because what if like 2 or 3 different people answered? They're not going to wait that long if you put them on hold. Really, single line and triple line are usually the best. 3 people called at once. And the reason for that is when you're skip tracing a list, you sometimes get multiple phone numbers, right? You sometimes get like 3, 4, 5 different numbers. We go for the first 3. Those are usually the best ones, are usually the most accurate. And a triple line dialer will call all 3 of them at the same time for that same homeowner. So whoever picks up, that's the one we speak to. If 2 pick up, we'll just put one on hold and then answer the other one. It's efficient. It's faster. Instead of waiting for 3 lines to ring, 3 lines are ringing at the same time. SMS blast, it's texting, blasting, you guys know it. Email blast, website builder, and a lead list service. For scaling, this one's next level. If you really want to grow and scale and automate your business, you're going to need automations. You're going to need a 24/7, 1-800 number that people can contact at any given time, especially if you have a website. You got to have a number there. It doesn't have to always be 24/7. You can have times like 9 to 5, working hours. Virtual assistants, this one is absolutely a life changer. If you truly want to grow in wholesaling, you're not going to be making the calls yourself. You're going to outsource it, right? There's only so much that you can do before you burn yourself out. When you're first starting to get that first deal, go right on ahead. Do it yourself. Call, text. I did it for my first 3 deals before I hired a virtual assistant. But once I hired that VA, everything kind of switched, right? Because now I have more time to focus on other things, and they're handling the things that I don't want to do. No one wants to call 300 people. No one wants to get cursed at. No one wants to get yelled at. So virtual assistants become a very key component to your business. And then acquisitions managers, which is like the next step. These are virtual assistants that can handle your ABC acquisition part. So they'll handle, getting the pre-qualifying questions answered. They'll handle, running some comps for you. And then they'll even call the homeowner and give them an offer. They might not be as good as you, right? I still make the offers myself, just because as good as acquisitions managers can be, there's some things that they're not always going to understand. Most of these virtual assistants are from overseas, so there's only so much that they can do. So these are the scaling components of your business. Suggested package, number 1, most used. I always talk about it. The reason for it is because of the fact that it's affordable. In SMS, there's really like 4 big ones that you're going to hear about. Launch control, lead Sherpa. There's this new one that recently came out, completely lost its name, but you have the Reach app that I've used when I first started out, and then you have REI Reply. So REI Reply is $49 a month. It's text blasting, has automations, has, why don't we play the video, kind of explains it a little bit better. Let me see if we have it. $100 a month, $800 a month is what we've gotten up to at some points. So this is the one for affordability, and it does the job rather well. So I'm going to show you guys how REI Reply works step by step. So like usual, I'm going to be showing you my screen rather than telling you, because it's a lot easier to follow along when you can see what I'm looking at. Now, REI Reply costs $49 a month plus 0.008 cents per text, which basically means after 1,000 texts, you're paying about $8, which is a phenomenal price. It's automatically connected to Twilio, so you're already set up and running. Now, another really good part about REI Reply is once you create an account with them, which is linked in the description, once you create an account with them, they'll have a live representative get on a Zoom call with you and help you set up your first campaign absolutely free, because it does look like a lot when you're first starting out this site. So the next part that I want to show you guys, and the most important part, is this automation section. Now this is going to be your best friend.
they already set you guys up with pre-made campaigns for your cash buyer, for foreclosures, for any type of scenario that you're going to come across when you're wholesaling. They have a campaign for it. So I'm going to share the one that I used. Obviously, I changed it up just a little bit. Just, you know, you guys can do the same thing. You don't have to necessarily use the one that I use. You guys can always change it up. But this is how I set it up. So on day one, this is a text message that's going through. It's hi, the contact's first name. It's Souad. Have you entertained the idea of letting go of 123 Main Street? If you have, let's talk about it. So that's my first text, right? Afterwards, on the same day, about half a minute later, they're getting a ringless voicemail. So their phone doesn't ring, but they get a voicemail. And it basically says, hey, it's Souad. I just sent you a text about your property. Just wanted to reach out to see if you were interested in selling it. Please give me a call back or shoot me a text when you get a chance. That's my voicemail. They give you guys scripts that you can use to set up your ringless voicemail. So you can go ahead and do it any way you like. That's just how I did it. But you guys are welcome to change it up however you feel fit. So this all happens on day one. This is the entire day one. Now, the best part is this automation function. Automating follow-ups is just key, right? Follow-ups are so important in the real estate game. It's insane. A lot of people won't message you during that first text. I don't get messages sometimes till that third or fourth follow-up text. So this is why I love this, that it's completely automated, that I don't have to do it. But if they don't respond on day one, on day 3, they get this message. You guys can read it. On day 7, they get this message, another voicemail, ringless voicemail, and then on day 20, the last message. So I do want to add, I haven't stopped at day 20. You guys can always add it to day 30, day 90, day 120. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily stop at that time. I just haven't stopped at the 20-day campaign, just because once they're finished with this campaign, if they haven't responded to any of our text messages, they're going to get a call. Right? That's the next step for contacting leads. And those that are not interested via text, we're just not going to call them. They already answered our question via text. Rather than waste time in calling them again to get the same answer, we're going to call the ones that actually didn't respond. And the ones that are interested, obviously, will follow up with a call as well. So that's how we handle the texting and cold calling for the acquisitions part. Now, one more thing that I do want to add about this website is the website builder, because it is great credibility to your company to have an actual website so you can lead the homeowners too. So I'm going to show you guys how it looks like. So on the website builder, you're going to go to sites.
All right. So I really wanted to focus on just that SMS platform, and I wanted to show you guys the campaigns that they have set up for you guys. One thing that I do want to add. So a couple of months ago, TCPA rules changed. So SMS has become a lot harder than it used to be. You now have to register your LLC. The reason for that is because, you know, they want to go after someone. Like, if you do something wrong, if you contact someone you're not supposed to, or if you're saying the wrong things to people, typically people were going after REI reply, right? Because they're the ones sending the text message, right? You weren't registering, you were just creating a login, giving them your email and a password. Now the way that the system is changed, and not just that, Launch Control, Lead Sherpa, every text blasting software has the same rules. You have to register your business in order to send text messages. The way around it that REI reply has found, so if you don't have an LLC, you don't have a business to register, you can use toll-free numbers, which is basically, instead of using, you know, a 973 area code for New Jersey, you're going to use a 1-800 number. Which is, you know, has its pros and cons. First, you're getting free text messaging, right? You don't have to register your business. You don't have to open an LLC. Second thing is, it's less personal, a little bit more scammy, right? You trust more of an area code number than you would a 1-800 number. But again, it really depends on what message you're sending them. So if you give them a good message and they're interested in selling, maybe that's all you need. There's also the amount of text that you can actually send is limited. I believe if you're using toll-free numbers, you can only send a maximum of 300 texts a day. If you register your business, you can send thousands a day. So that's really how they do it. So that's REI reply. I always recommend it just because of that feature, that automation feature. You want to speed up your business as best as you can. You want to be as hands-off as possible, and having that automation makes it 10 times easier. All right, let's go to package number 2. This is really cool. So we kind of split it up into like different packages, and then you can kind of choose. So we did a CRM, a cold calling software, a dialer, power dialer, cold calling, and then a texting software. So you'll see it on the site as well. So first one is the cheapest one. You can kind of you don't have to always get the cheapest one on all four. Like you can get REI Reply and get Google Sheets as your CRM and then use ClickSend as your texting or smartphone as your texting. Like you can kind of play around with all of these, but let's start from the beginning. Cheapest one, Google Sheets as your CRM. You don't need anything fancy. You just need to stay organized. You have Google Sheets, $0. AirCall is it's an iCloud based dialer. I think this is pretty cool. Basically you upload an Excel sheet and then it'll automatically grab phone numbers and start power dialing them. The only issue that I have with AirCall is that you don't know what you're calling. It's just taking phone numbers and dialing. And it's like you have to go back to your Excel sheet and figure out what number is calling and then try to pinpoint the address. And that way, when you're speaking with the homeowner, one of the biggest things you need to do is be prepared, right? First thing you should know is their address. Like, hello, Mr. Smith, I'm calling about your property on 123 Main Street. When you're using AirCall, it's just like a power dialer. So you don't know what number they're actually on. And you can't really pinpoint it unless you have like two screens open to be able to see what number it's calling next. It's feasible. It's 100% possible. It's just an extra step that comes with, having a cheaper package product. So that's AirCall. They also have a free trial, 7 days free trial. It gives you like 40 minutes to play around with it. So you got 40 minutes of free dialer time. Use it, right? You don't even have to input your credit card for this one. So highly recommend. Next one I want to talk about is the Reach app. I've talked about this one a while because it's the one that I used when I first starting out. The Reach app is not really a text blasting software. I just played it like a text blasting software and it worked. And now they have integrations with Google Voice. So you don't even have to use your own number. You can integrate it with Google Voice. So let me kind of play a video for it. I'm not going to play the entire thing. Kind of just want to show you guys what it actually does because this is really cheap for texting. It's $5 a month, really easy to learn. So let's play it real quick.
That we send a whole stream list, batch leads list, whatever list that you use, it kind of looks like this, to say the least. It's a bunch of rows of different things. Now the Reach app is very precise on what it wants to see in order to be able to text blast. So let's edit this out. I'm going to show you guys exactly how it should be edited out in order for the Reach app to accept it and in order to send these messages. The first thing after that, we're going to go on the Reach app. Okay. So the Reach app is pretty simple. It's thereachapp.com/CSV. On your phone, on the app itself, there's going to be a code. I'll show you guys how the code looks like on your phone. Once you have that code, you're going to plug it in, and then you're going to choose a file. All right, and then we're going to upload it. Are these all the chimneys? All right, upload successful. Now we're done with our computer. I'm going to do the rest of this on the phone, so bear with me. Okay, so now we're on our phones. The first thing we're going to do is compose an actual message. This is the one that I use. You guys can always change it up how you feel fit. This has worked for me. It's not too pushy. It kind of goes straight to the point. But this is how it goes. It's like, hello, we're going to add this little symbol up here. This kind of just plugs in the name. So whatever name we have on the Excel, it's going to plug it into the spot. So if it's like John Smith, it's going to say, hello, John Smith, instead of us writing the names individually. So hello, the name. Sorry, this is out of the blue. My name is Souad with Direct Buyers Nationwide. We recently bought a property in the area and wanted to reach out to the neighbors and see if they're interested in selling their property. Are you the right person to ask about it? This has done really well for me. So you guys can use it, of course. I do have another one that I also use. It's also linked in my bio. All right. So one other thing that I would like to say is if you don't have an actual, an LLC or a company that you want to say that you're with, you can always just keep it blank. So hello, my name is Souad. You see how I put it as we? Because it's always plural. You never say that I'm going to purchase the property. It's always going to be plural because you're always going to have partners. You're always going to have somebody that has to go see the property, your end buyers, your investors. So you can always do, we recently, like my name is Souad, my partners and I are really interested in your property. So however you want to go about it, just keep it plural.
That's my tip of the day. All right, so this is our script. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and we're gonna go on groups. We're gonna hit that plus button and we're gonna name the group. When you're naming the group, keep in mind that if you have a lot of lists, you're gonna get very disorganized. So label it as the city and then the type of list. So I don't know, it's like Miami absentee owners. That way everything's kind of organized so you don't get confused. When you're doing multiple lists or a bunch of lists, it gets confusing. So for this one, I'm just gonna name it a test, but you guys name it correctly. The next thing that we're gonna do is press CSV, right? And we're gonna import CSV from PC and Mac. So remember that what I told you about the code? This is the code that we're going to use to import it from our computer, right? So I probably should have done this in the correct order, but we all make mistakes. So the same thing as we did a couple of minutes ago on the computer, we downloaded our Excel file as a CSV. We then went on reach the app /CSV and we submitted that code that they gave us, the one that we're seeing now on our phones. Once we submit that code and we submit the file, or upload the file and submit the entire thing, all we have to do is go on our phone and press import CSV. Once we import it, I only have 11 contacts. You guys might have 100, 500, 1,000, but we're gonna hit done. We're gonna see all the contacts right here, their name and their number, all in front of us. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to send them actual text messages. I'm gonna show you how it's automated. I'm gonna show you how it's done. Let's go. So we're going to go back to our messages, right? We're going to go back to the message. We're going to click this upload button right up here. Once we click it, we're going to pick our list. Mine was a test right up there. And then we're going to hit the upload button one more time. Now we have our text and the phone number already plugged in. We're going to send that text message. Then we're going to go to the next one. And then the next one. And then the next one. And then the next one, honestly, I can do the entire list right now. I only have 11, but you guys get the point. So so one of the numbers was twice, but once you're all done with the list, it's going to say all sent. And then you can send it to another group, or you can resend it to the same list, like a follow-up text as well.
Right. So this is the Reach app. It's the one that I first started out with. No one talks about it because it was never for text blasting. Like it was more of like a community group text messaging software. And it was on the Apple Store. I saw that you can send multiple texts. I played around with it, found out I can upload Excel sheets on it, and then I can just send multiple text messages. When it first came out, they only had use of your own personal number. So you see, I was sending it straight from my iMessage. That's how I got my number, like completely scam likely. Now they have integrations with Google Voice, so you can get it with a Google Voice number and send messages that way. So it's not touching your personal number. But again, this is not the most effective way, right? It's not organized. You don't remember what address it is. Like if someone responds back to that text, all you get is a response back and their name. Like, you know how you said, hello, Smith, this is Souad from Direct Buyers. You don't have their address unless you put their address on the file. So it's not efficient, but it sends the text messages out, right? When you're first starting out, you want to do as much as you can to reach the homeowners, reach out to the homeowners. Now there's softwares and systems that are organized in our real estate base. So they make this process 1,000 times easier. If you guys want to watch that full video, it's on the site itself. This whole entire presentation is on the site. So you guys can always check it out. But this is like the basic model. Like you want to spend very, very minimal. Even this, like you don't even need air call. You can use your own personal number or Google Voice and just call manually, right? Search up the number, call, and ask them if they're interested in selling. And we'll go over the script and everything else towards section 3. But this is the third package. This one's like kind of like the most efficient. It's not crazy in price, and it gets the job done. So first one, Podio. Always going to recommend it. It's the one that we use. It's a CRM. It has automations. It has organization. You can add more team members. You can add your VAs. You can just do so much with Podio. So highly recommend it. And like $25 a month is like their premium plan. They have a basic plan at $0. So you can start this absolutely free. Next one is smartphone. I'll let kind of smartphone talk for itself. They have a video that kind of explains it, but it's a dialer and it's only $50 for the phone and then $50 for the dialer. Let's kind of see.
Hey, my name's Jordan, and I want to take just 60 seconds of your time to introduce you to smartphone. Now, the first thing I want you to know about smartphone, it is a fully featured cloud phone system with great things like easy user management, drag and drop call flows, instant number purchasing, and more advanced features like call monitoring, whisper, and barging. The second thing I want you to know is that it is your phone system, your way, anywhere you are. That means no hardware or installation needs, and our dedicated iOS and Android apps means you can take smartphone in your pocket wherever you go. And whether you're expanding from one city to another, into another state, or even another country, you have one centralized system for billing and management accessible anywhere. The third thing I want you to know is that smartphone is fully integrated. Smartphone ensures that your phone, your SMS, your voicemails, everything you do is fully integrated into your CRM. Means all the calls are recorded and linked in your CRM, and it means that your team can spend more time communicating with your customers and less time managing their system. And the final thing I want you to know is that smartphone is cost effective. We have a simple and transparent billing system with a low user cost, and we have shared minutes that you can put across all your users in the system, making sure you pay for what you use and not for what you don't. So, are you ready to transform your business communications? Well, click below to access your 30-day free trial. Take it for a spin. Our awesome support team are there for your success, and don't hesitate to reach out. Happy phoning!
I think my favorite part about the entire video is that they give a 30-day free trial. So you have no excuse. They're giving you 30 days to play around with the software, use it. That's for the dialer in terms of like the most efficient. Next one is ClickSend, which is a texting software. Let's kind of see what they got to say as well. It's 30 seconds, so it'll be really quickly.
ClickSend unleashes the power of multi-channel communications from one simple platform. Using the fastest direct global routes, your vital business messages are delivered on time, whether it's SMS, MMS, email, or even direct mail in many formats. And you can do all this via dashboard, API, or app. ClickSend.
All right.
Is business communications solved?
That's ClickSend. Again, I don't know if they have a free trial, but you can always search it up. But these are software. Like, I think the purpose of all this is to give you guys all the information, right? It becomes your choice on which one you want to choose. So all of this is in front of you. All of these I've used before. I've played around with them until I found the ones that best fit me. But let's go back to package number 4. This is like the most expensive one. Not really in terms of price, but like Lead Sherpa, $500 a month is absolutely insane. I played with Lead Sherpa for a couple of months before I found out about REI Reply, but it's a text blasting software. They also have skip tracing at like 10 cents per lead, but their SMS blast is $500 a month. You don't have to pay for individual text. Like for REI Reply, you're paying $49 a month plus 0.08 cents a text for inbound and outbound. For Lead Sherpa, you're paying just the $500 a month. You don't have to pay per text, and you're limited at, I believe it's like 500 to 600 texts a day. That's the max that you can do. So that's Lead Sherpa. Great tool, great software, just a little expensive. Next one is Mojo. Highly recommend it. It's the one that we actually use. It's a triple line dialer, completely used for real estate professionals. It gives you access to like Zillow, Google Street View. You can put notes. You can set up a checklist. You can do so much with it because it's real estate based. So it knows exactly what you need and it offers it for you. So Mojo, for the single line dialer, it's about $100 a month. For the triple line dialer, it's about $140 a month. So that's Mojo. They don't have a free trial, not that I'm aware of, but it is, if you can afford to and want something that's a little bit more efficient, highly recommend to go with Mojo. Monday.com is a CRM, same as Podio, same as Google Sheets. It's just another CRM to organize everything for you. And a lot of these CRMs, especially Podio, integrate with so many systems. So everything that you do in one system is going to come back to your CRM. So everything is organized. Like in smartphone, he said like a recording will be put into your Podio. So everything would be organized. Same thing with Mojo. Everything integrates efficiently. A lot of softwares do together. And kind of Podio is like the backbone of it. I haven't played with the Monday.com integration, but I'm pretty sure they have it too. Not sure if they have a free trial, but you can always search it up. So these are the main ones. There's obviously hundreds more that I'm not fully aware of. Like there's call tools, the batch dialer. I played with batch dialer, and I played with batch SMS. So batch leads offers an SMS and a batch dialer. I played around with it. You know, it gets the job done. I think they also have like a 7-day free trial for that dialer too. So honestly, you can make hundreds of calls just playing from one dialer to another dialer to another dialer. All right. Next part is you can use one of our products. So one of the things that we worked really, really hard on is to try and be an all-in-one wholesaling store. Kind of offer everything that you need to grow, scale, and automate your business. So I've been wholesaling for almost 3 years now, and I've played with so many softwares and so many systems. And the funniest thing is just like you see everyone's doing this, and it's like, well, why can't I just kind of change it up? Why can't I just do this? Or I need this, or I want this changed. But it's like it's not your software to kind of change it or play around with. So that's where we kind of came across you know, the coding and the back end and credit bureaus and books. And that's where we started our own store. So we now have skip tracing, we have ready to call leads, we have tech setup, we have virtual assistants. So I'm going to talk about, let's talk about the mentorship first. So as you can see, a lot of the videos are from like one of our mentorship programs. So we do weekly lessons. Every single week we cover a specific topic. We go through Q&As, and it's really, really cool. We started it almost back in January, and we're at almost 2,200 members on the free program. Obviously there's a free one, and then the VIP we're at about 180 members, it blows my mind. And the cost, we really wanted to make it as affordable as possible. Like the price really just covers like the softwares, the resources, and everything like that. It's at $29 a month, right? It's less than $1 a day. You got weekly lessons from me and Mario. So I'm always here. We do it sometimes on Wednesdays, sometimes on Sundays. But every single week we have a call. We're covering a specific topic. We have all the resources from contracts to scripts to the title lists of every investor-friendly title company in all 50 states. There's also a place where you can chat and answer questions and network. And then usually if you have a question, either me, Mario, or another investor is going to answer it for you. And I think the biggest one is that whole JV program. So if you do come across a deal, you know, we'll help you run the numbers. We'll tell you if it's a good deal or not. And then if it is, we can partner up, lock it up under contract together and find a buyer. So we kind of have it in like 2 separate ways. So the first one is you lock it up under contract and handle the acquisitions part, and we'll handle the dispo side, which is finding the cash buyer and then lock it up and close the deal. Or the second one, for those that really want to be handhold during a deal, you come across a property, you think it's a good deal, you know the number sense, reach out to us. There's a whole JV program on the Discord, and then we'll run the numbers together. We'll send our personal contracts, we'll cover deposits, we'll lock it up under contract, and we'll find a buyer. So it's like A to Z done to you, and then you still get paid. So it's like a learn and earn as you go. So that's a really big benefit for the Discord channel. So there's a free section, everyone's allowed to join. There's networking, there's post your deals, there's investors there. And then if you want something a little bit more, that you would go with the VIP. The next one is the ready to call leads. So the next one, and I think it's my favorite one, leads are so important in real estate, right? Absentee owner, vacant, free and clear, pre-foreclosure. Those are like the biggest ones that I've used, and they're the ones that we have access to. And now the thing that I love the most that we offer that other places don't is we don't recycle lists, right? If you get a list from us, like if PropStream, you wanted 100 vacant properties in one specific town, that's all you're going to get, right? You can purchase the same vacant list. It's going to be the same numbers, the same addresses. With us, it's 100 times different. We only sell what we have, right? So if it's really limited, if, you know, everyone's going to Dallas, Texas vacancies and they take all the lists, you know, we're not going to sell the same list again, right? It doesn't work that way. It's not going to help you close a deal, and it's not going to help the first person that purchased to close a deal. So we don't recycle lists, and they're already skip trace. So you know how skip tracing, it's another cost, 12 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents. Ours are already skip trace. So you buy 1,000 leads, you have the address, you have their mailing address, you have the phone number, and their do not call scrub. You don't want to go after numbers that are marked DNC. You don't want them to go after you. You don't want them to sue. So we do not call scrub them, and we skip trace them for you to get the phone numbers. So those are our leads. Next one is the skip tracing. So for those that have PropStream and have batch leads, right, you want to, use that software. You want to use those filters. We don't offer everything. You have absentee, vacancy, free and clear, and pre-foreclosure. You might want something different. You can always use our skip tracing, right? You have a list, upload it from PropStream or batch leads, send it over to us. In about 3 to 6 hours, you'll get a skip trace with all the phone numbers. And the way that I love it, and the way that I really wanted it, is to separate the system of mobile and landline numbers. For that is, if you're texting landline numbers, you're going to get your number banned. There's no way around it. When they skip trace you a bunch of numbers, you don't know which one is mobile, you don't know which one is landline. So with us, we separate it. So you can text the mobile numbers, and then you can cold call the landline numbers. And then finally, the biggest one really is the virtual assistants. And we'll kind of go more in depth with virtual assistants in section 3. And then I'll kind of talk about what we offer in terms of virtual assistants. So for the most part, I guess a quick summary, they're already trained, they're already experienced. We have weekly Zoom calls with them. We offer them bonuses. We offer them everything that they would need in order to cold call for you. The only thing that you would need to get is lists, right? You need to give them something to call. So get them the leads. If you want to use your own software, you absolutely can. They are trained in almost every single one that I mentioned above. If you have someone, a system that you know that I don't fully know about, we'll find a VA and train them for that software. You don't even have to worry about that part. So that's kind of how we handle the virtual assistant part for it. And I'll go a little bit more in depth when we cover virtual assistants towards section 3. I think it's the realtor too. So as you guys know, I'm a real estate agent as well. And one of the things you're going to notice is wholesaling and realtor work is kind of hand by hand. You're doing the same exact thing. You're cold calling homeowners. Instead of asking them, do you want a cash offer on your home? Do you want to list your house to sell on the market, right? So it's the same process, same cold calling, same systems. So we offer realtor deal leads as well, and then realtor virtual assistants as well. So kind of the best of both worlds. Next one, is SMS important? So I kind of wanted to go through this deal, quick case study of a deal that we did, I believe last year. I think this video is almost a year ago. But it was a complete deal that we did straight from text messaging, straight from Reach app too. So we used the $5 Reach app, and we closed the deal, $20,000, straight from text messaging. I don't think we spoke. I think we spoke with the homeowner once on the phone. So let me play this real quickly. And then we'll jump over to the texting script that we use. I'll share it with you guys so you guys can have it. I want to talk about a deal we just did. We made $20,000 by sending a text. Okay, maybe a little bit more than a text, but you guys get it. We sent a text message asking if they were interested in selling their house. They said yes. And we closed the deal and we made $20,000. So let me explain how we did it. We made $20,000 by sending a text message. How did I do it? I'll show you guys. So if you guys watch the wholesaling series below, exactly, there was a text message that we sent and we asked the homeowner if he was interested. And this one said yes. So he has a 4-unit. They're separately deeded, which means it's 2 family and a 2 family. So they're 4 in total, but 2 and 2. So 2 separate properties, 2 separate contracts, 2 separate assignment agreements. So I'll show you guys exactly what we did. We got under contract for 130 for each one. So 130, 130, and we assigned them for 140 and 140. I'll show you guys the purchase and sales and the assignment agreement here. This is our purchase and sales agreement. 41 Virginia. We have it under contract for $130,000. We paid $1,000 refundable deposit. Let's scroll back so we can see that it was actually signed. And here we go. Signed by the homeowner. Same thing for the other one. This is 43 Virginia, $130,000. And then also signed by the homeowner. Now let's go to our assignment agreement.
43 Virginia. 140,000 is the assignable price, and we got a 5,000 deposit, and this is signed as well. Let's go to sign. So once the owner signs the purchase and sales agreement, and once our investor, our end buyer, signs the assignment agreement, what do? We send both contracts to title. And title basically handles the rest for us. They're going to ask information from the end buyer. They're going to ask information from the seller. They're going to put you in the email chain so you see what's going on, but they don't need anything else from you, basically. And once title is clear and everything is set, we close. We make our assignment fee. And for this property, we made $10,000 for each one, so $20,000. So let's go a little bit more in detail on how this deal happened. If you guys watched the last video, you know we did this wholesaling series where we got a list off of Fiverr.com. The link is in my bio if you want 10% off. But we pulled a vacant list of properties in a specific area, and we got this hit. Surprisingly, this property wasn't vacant. So was it a wrong number? Was it an accident? Maybe it was fake. But we did get a homeowner that was interested in selling a property. It was 4 units, separately deeded, 2-family, 2-family. And we got it locked up. So how did it start? We sent him a text. We asked him if he was interested in selling the property, and he replied with yes. I have the screenshots here. We can actually read the full conversation because this property was a little bit different because he did have code violations that we had to work around. So first off, the first text was, "Are you interested in selling?" He said, "Yes, I have thought about selling it." And I said, "Any major repairs that would be needed, the general condition?" He asked me to give him a call. So during the call, I really just asked a little bit more about the information on the property. Bedroom, bathroom for each unit. How are the tenants paying? Are they paying tenants? Are they leased? Are they month to month? Just all the information that I would need that I know an investor is going to eventually ask. In terms for this property, his reason for selling it was that he was not cut out to be a landlord. This was his first property that he purchased as an investor. It just didn't work for him. He lived 3 hours away. It just wasn't the best fit for him, and he needed it gone. So he was a very, very motivated seller, and it was a great property. 4 units we got it for $260. Amazing deal. After that, I asked for his email so I can send him a purchase and sales agreement, and he also was going to send me all the code violations that he had on the property. So these were the code violations. So as you guys can see, it needed a laundry list of upgrades to meet code, which is good for us because now we have a lot more room to negotiate on the price. But after this, I kind of asked him in terms of seller financing and subject to. So if he had purchased the property in cash, I would be able to ask him to either become the bank and give him payments on the home, or if he didn't own the home and he had a mortgage payment, I would take over his mortgage payments. So these are seller financing, creative financing, as they say, for me to personally own the home rather than either buying it in cash, having to go get a lender, having to go get a mortgage, whatever the case may be. But for this, he said no, he wanted a cash offer. He wanted to take the equity off the home to get in business with a friend in Philly, which is fine. Another good thing is always have that option for your investors too. It's a great asset to use, like for your cash buyer, like, oh, we can also provide seller financing. But it wasn't the case for this one. So after we finished talking about the general condition, the code violations, all the information that I needed in order to run the numbers, I had to ask him how much did he want for the property. If it was too high, then all of this would have been a waste. But for him, he purchased the property last year. He purchased it for $300,000, 150, 150, because there were 2 units. And I asked him, like, there's code violations on the property. You're going to have to hit a loss because you didn't get them finished. You didn't fix them up. And a lot of your tenants are paying lower than market value rents. And so he was like, well, what's your offer? I aimed low and I gave him $240 for both of them. So I believe 120, 120. And he was like, he can't do it. It was too low. He's taking a substantial loss and he needs at least like $275 for the partnership that he was doing in Philly. And so I was like, what if I meet you in the middle at $250? And he said, let me call you back the next day. So I let him sit on it, which thinking about it now is not the best thing to do because once you hang up on them, it's very hard to get a hold of them the next day or the next day. Like I've seen it in properties now. Like once they say, oh, I'll talk to you tomorrow, they just go MIA, they ghost. But this one, he called back and said, no, I can't do it. And I was like, okay, how about we do 260? We meet in the middle. I give you 130 and 130 for both of them. And he was like, you know what? Give me until this afternoon. I'm at work. And I was like, okay. And he called me back. He's like, you know what? Let's do it.
I sent him the purchase and sales agreement to his email. He signs it that same minute, which is great because a lot of the times these sellers take a whole nother 2 days to read the contract and actually sign it. So he was pretty fast into signing it. So once I had the contract signed, now it was time for me to market the property. And this is where it became fun. And this is where it became really easy compared to all the other properties I've done. So when it came to actually sending it to my end buyers, I was like, well, now I got to post it on Facebook, Craigslist, Bigger Pocket, Connected Investor, send it to my email list. But first thing I did was actually send it to an investor that I knew was killing it down there. He loved the area. He was buying properties left and right. And I said, what's the harm in sending it to him first, figuring out if he wants it, and then doing the whole marketing of finding the end buyer. So I sent it to this end buyer and he ended up wanting it. He said, I'll buy it sight unseen. I will send the contract right now. I will pay the deposit right now. You don't have to market it. You don't have to do anything. And for me, I'm like blown away. So I've worked with this investor before, so I know they're reliable. I know when they say they're going to do it, they're going to do it. But it's still crazy when you're getting an offer the minute you sign the contract. And the best part about this is when you're working with tenant occupied properties and people have to go see it, you're working with 4 other people's schedules, your end buyer schedule, your own schedule. So this was great. The fact that I didn't even have to go down there to take pictures of the property to be able to email blast it. The fact that I didn't have to really work on any of the tenant schedule, work on the owner's schedule. I didn't have to drive 3 hours down there. It was great. And so I sent him the assignment agreement. He signed it right then and there. $5,000 non-refundable deposit. So in case he was fooling around or playing me, he'd lose his deposit basically. And then I just resend it to my email list and find another buyer. So even if an end buyer ends up screwing around and they pay the deposit, I make $5,000 no matter what. So even if I don't find an end buyer at the end of the day, I still made $5,000 here. I can cancel the contract here. So this isn't something that you would get in every single deal. I guess this proves like the benefit of having connections with investors and knowing what they want and knowing their numbers, and being able to have that rapport with them. But in terms of if it wasn't for this investor, I would have to go down there and take pictures or send somebody down there to take pictures, send an email blast, post it on Facebook, post it on Craigslist, Connected Investor, Bigger Pockets, all these softwares. And then I'd have people messaging me almost every single day, asking that they want to go see the property or they want more information. So then I have to work around the tenant's schedule, my schedule, the homeowner's schedule, the investor's schedule, have everyone meet down there. So I'm really glad that this investor was able to close it, because with tenant occupied properties, showings are a lot harder than vacant ones. That's why we went with a vacant list for Fiverr, but we got lucky with a rented 4 unit. But I'm not complaining on this one. So afterwards, it was time to kind of send the purchase and sales agreement and the assignment agreement to title, which is usually the easy part. I know a lot of people don't understand what happens in title, but you can just email them or you can go down there and you can give them the purchase and sales agreement, assignment agreement, and let them know that you're doing assignment contract. And they typically do handle the rest. Like when I say they handle the rest, they really do. They put an email chain of the homeowner, the end buyer, and yourself, and you can see everything that they're talking about. So for this one in specific, they were.
All right, awesome. So that was kind of like a quick case study of a deal that we did down in Atlantic City. Great deal. Not all deals flow like some are going to be a lot more difficult. But I hope your first situation is as smooth as possible, like this one. And then also the benefit of having that network, right? Having that cash buyer that you can just reach out to and then send them a deal, and know that they'll be able to purchase it. So the main focus of this video is really to show you how important SMS is and how you can truly close a deal just by texting a homeowner, right? It's not always going to be like this, right? You want to build rapport. It really wasn't until we got on the phone and like I explained who we are and built that rapport that we were able to actually close this deal. But there have been situations where we've done the entire deal straight from SMS, right? Straight from text messaging, never called the homeowner. But with those, it's always a little sketchy, right? They're always going to think a little bit of a scam, you're a scammer. They're always going to be, double checking. They're going to want maybe an attorney involved. So get on the phone with them. It doesn't hurt. And you get more information that way anyway. All right. So this is the texting script that we use. Kind of wanted to share it with you guys. Same one as the RI reply campaign that we saw in the earlier video. This is one that you guys can have access to day 1, day 3. This should be day 7, day 14, day 30, and day 120. Straight, straight to the point, simple questions. Hi, whatever their first name is, it's Souad. Have you entertained the idea of letting go of 123 Main Street? If you've thought about it, let's talk. Next one in a couple of days, in case you wondered what you can get for the, for 123 Main Street, let me know. I'm available. And then it just keeps going. Follow-up is so important in real estate. You guys, we're all calling the same list. We're all reaching out to the same people. It really is a matter of who gets there first and who is remembered by the homeowner. When they're ready to sell, who they're going to call back. So this is the end of part 2. So kind of open the floor for a quick Q&A. And then we'll go over the last part, which is the scripts, the contracts, and the virtual assistants. So we're almost done. I know it's been a lot, but I wanted to give you guys as much information as possible. So bear with us. So let's open the floor for some questions and let's go for it.
What's the best way to build your cash buyers list? That's a good one. That's a common one.
Yeah, that's a big one. And it is completely going to be answered in section 3, actually. Going to show you exactly how to do it, how to build your database absolutely free. And if you were here in the beginning, we talked about getting cash buyers through softwares like PropStream and Batch Leads. But just hold off until part 3 and I'll go over, going through the Facebook route and the systems and softwares that you can go over. I joined late. Will this recording be sent out? Yes. So as soon as this is done, kind of edit the video just a little bit, and then we'll upload it everywhere. YouTube, send emails. It'll be in this website on wholesalediscord.com. So it's all there for you guys. Would you recap on the VIP? So the VIP is a mentorship program that we kind of came up with a couple months ago. And it's exactly what it sounds like. There's a free version on the Discord, which is a networking place where you can post deals. There's about 2,000 members there, I think over 2,000 now. And then the VIP section is a little bit more of the mastermind part. Can you also recap the free one? Yeah, so the free one is a place to network, a place to post deals, a place to get your questions answered. And then the VIP one is the one where it's a little bit more personal. You get to deal with me, you get to deal with Mario. You can post your questions on the chat and get them answered in real time. So if something comes up, you get it answered right then and there. You can, direct message me, you could direct message Mario. And then we have weekly lessons. So every Sunday, sometimes we switch it to Wednesdays, but we're going through a Zoom call all together to go over a specific topic, whether it's acquisitions, disposition, contracts, title. We're going through, it's about an hour to 2 hours every single week. We go over a specific topic. And then there's resources. There's contracts, there's scripts, there's calculators, there's the list of all the investor-friendly title companies. So there's so much resources in that chat itself. And then there's that whole JV program that I mentioned before, which is if you do come across a deal and you don't know what to do next, if you do lock it up under contract, we're going to, help you find that buyer and close the deal with you. Or number 2 is you send us the deal, we'll help you lock it up, run the numbers, pay the deposits, handle everything else in terms of locking it up, getting it closed, finding that buyer, and then, you learn and earn as you go. So those are the mentorship programs that we have. So they're also on the site, Wholesale Discord, and then you just hit mentorship right here. They're explained a little bit more in details. But yeah. Is there responsibility? Yeah, it is going to be recorded and it'll be posted on YouTube, Facebook, wholesalediscord.com. You'll see it. I'll be sure to blast it out. Who would be in a disposition team? Can you have someone else sign the purchase and sales agreement? You can have a partner for this position. So if you want to have someone else to partner up with and they can sign the purchase and sales agreement, but keep in mind, whoever is signing is the one that's getting the assignment fee, right? So if you have someone else that you're trusting to sign that purchase and sales agreement, make sure they're going to pay you because title is going to send them the payment.
That's a good point. And it happens.
Yeah, so you really got to be careful. In real estate, one of the things that you're going to notice really early on is people are a little selfish and greedy. So you really want to have everything in writing. You know, if it's not in writing, it never happened. If you're partnering up with people, have a contract in place. It's really difficult to JV with people nowadays because, you know, they don't owe you anything. You can bring them a buyer and you never sent a, you know, you never paid, you know, signed a JV agreement, and they'll go to title, close that deal with your buyer, and you won't get paid from anything. So contracts become very, very important. Have everything in writing. Don't trust anybody. You know, the way that we handle our JV program, we send JV agreements. Like, you have to sign a contract before you even send us the deal. That way that you're safe and then we're safe. Can you mention all the documents we need through the whole process? You only need 2 documents: a purchase and sales agreement, which is the contract between you and the homeowner. And then the second one is the assignment agreement, which is the contract between you and the investor. Those are the only 2 contracts you need. If you're partnering up, you might need a JV agreement, but other than that, those are the only 2 that you're going to need. Can you take in both agreements in person after getting them signed? Yeah, you absolutely can. We do things a little virtually, so DocuSign, right, signature, sending contracts via email. But if you're able to go down there, take your contract with you, sign it in person. There's nothing wrong with that. That's even better. Off topic, what are the formulas when there are liens or mortgages on the property to come up with the maximum allowable offer, including our assignment fee? So if there's a lien or mortgage on the property, that's taken out directly from the homeowner. So if you're offering them $200,000 and they owe $50,000 in their mortgage and another $20,000 in liens, they're only going to get that 130, right? They're not, that 70 is going to get taken during title. You know, everyone gets paid first before the homeowner gets paid. So we don't have to worry about that. I'm giving you $200,000 for the property using that 70% rule. Whatever is owed on your mortgage or your liens, that's getting taken care of directly with title. So it's not something that we kind of, you know, filter in unless the mortgage is higher than what we're offering. So if we're trying to come up with an offer at 200, but they owe a $300,000 mortgage, this deal might not work because they have to come up with that extra $100,000 to close the deal.
Yeah, I think he was referring to like a short sale situation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're with short sale, it's a little bit differently. You can't really wholesale short sale. You're not really allowed. You have to own the property for at least 90 days. So it's not really possible to assign the contract to an investor unless you're going to close on it, hold it for the 90 days, and then go sell it. Which kind of brings us to that second question. Why would one not double close? People don't double close because they don't want to purchase the property, right? The benefit of wholesaling is that there's no risk factor in this, right? I don't own the property. I never do, and I never will. I'm locking it up under a contract that has an out at any given time. So when I don't find that buyer, I walk away. If I double close and I don't find a buyer, I'm stuck holding that property, paying the mortgage, paying the taxes, paying whatever fees, paying the closing costs, paying the title fees. So if you want to go that route, you absolutely can. That's like more of like, you know, the fix and flip route. Why not hold the property, try to sell it for more? There's actually a term for it. What is it? Wholetailing. So instead of wholesaling, it's wholetailing, where you get the property, you actually close on it. You do very minimalistic work to it. You're not really fix and flipping it. You're like cleaning it up, maybe painting it, and then you're listing it back on the market and getting more for what you got it for. But with that, you first need to get funding because you need to pay for the property, pay for the closing costs, pay for the title fees. So if you can do all that, then yeah, absolutely, you can double close, you can wholesale, but really our main focus is just that wholesaling because I can walk away from the deal. I don't have to spend a dime out of pocket. So that's how we do it. How would you protect yourself in a JV, especially if you're doing it remotely? A JV partnership agreement. It's a contract that you sign with the other wholesaler. That way, and that's given to title as well with the contract. So title will get the purchase and sales agreement, the assignment agreement, and the JV agreement. All 3 contracts get sent to title, and then the title company will split the assignment fee between you 2. How much is PropStream? $99 a month. Sorry if it's a dumb question, but if I'm very far and they violate the JV contract, would I have to spend more on legal, and would it be worse or not? Unfortunately, yeah, if they violate the JV agreement, you would have to basically sue, right? You'd have to contact an attorney, try to sue the other wholesaler. Let the attorney know that you have a legal binding contract with this wholesaler, that you found the buyer, proof of conversation, and you can do it that way. There are some attorneys that will get paid after you make your money, so you don't have to come up front with legal fees. But yeah, other than that, there's not really another solution for it.
Yeah, I think it's a cost benefit thing at that point. If you were gonna make $20,000, a lawyer, legal fees, everything else, let's say runs you 10, is it worth chasing the other 10? I'd say so. If you were only gonna make 10, it's gonna cost you 10,000 to hire a lawyer to go fight someone. Yeah, I don't think that math works out.
Absolutely. Curious as to where you get the majority of your deals under contract, what type of leads. So with us, when I first started out, I used every other way, PropStream, public county records. I said that twice, but it's really that important. Like, you need it twice. Public county records are the ones that people don't go after because they're just in bad format. Like, you have to go the extra step of putting them into an Excel sheet. But those are the ones that we started out with. And then we kind of learned the back end of data and came up with wholesale Discord. So our leads are literally the same ones that I'm offering you guys. They're the ones that we use 100%. They're the ones that I'm calling on a daily basis. And then same skip tracing is the one that I'm offering you guys. So that's how we're getting our deals. When do you use a double close? I've heard wholesalers mentioned he double closed because the assignment fee was over X amount. That really is up to you. If you think the investor is going to walk away because your wholesale fee is really, really high, then maybe you might think of double closing. But we don't really have a set amount. Like, we've closed deals well over 30 without having to double close it, right? Because when you double close, you're paying that first closing. You're paying the closing cost for that first set of closing. And then when you're double closing, that second one gets paid by the investor. So you have to keep in mind. So even if your assignment fee, let's say your assignment fee is 50,000, but you have to pay 10,000 in your closing costs on the first half, your assignment fee now is down to 40. Would it be easier to just, assign the deal to the investor at 40 rather than closing the deal and having to go through that process? So again, there's not a right answer for that. It really is up to you. And let's see, how exactly do you get paid? You get paid by title. So if you're in an attorney closing state, you'll get paid by the attorney. If you're in a title closing state, you'll get paid by a title company. They both do the exact same thing. But they'll take that purchase and sales agreement that you gave them that has $200,000, which is between you and the homeowner. And then they'll take that assignment agreement that you have that's between you and the investor at 210. And then they'll say, hey, 200, 210, 10,000 goes to the wholesaler, and they'll send you a $10,000 check or wire transfer. So title company will pay you. Can you ask title to do a blind buyer side? Yes, but an investor can get that information if they really wanted to. But regardless, most investors know they're doing a wholesale deal when they see assignment contract, when they see assignment deal, they know they're working with a wholesaler that's going to make money. So they keep that in mind. So they know that they're going to pay a certain amount to a wholesaler. So you don't really have to blind it unless you think it's just a crazy amount that might ruin the deal. You can, but keep in mind they can still get access to that information. Recommend memorandum of contract to cloud title. I've gotten asked this question a lot, actually, which you can, but it is not beneficial. So a memorandum of contract to cloud title is basically trying to safeguard you from another wholesaler to try to steal your deal, right? That's what you're doing. You're clouding the title so that you're the only person that can potentially close this deal. The only issue with that is if someone is going to reach out to the homeowner, right? You have it locked up at $200,000. You build that rapport, you're good. You have another wholesaler that just, came across this deal, contacted the homeowner and is like, hey, I can offer you 220 more than that guy. And you guys already have a contract. Legally, that contract is binding, right? They can't get out of it. They can't sign with the other person. But guess what? They can wait 30 days until that inspection period is up, right? And then go sign with the other guy. When you're doing the memorandum of contract to cloud the title, yes, legally, they can't sign with nobody else, but they can make your life a living hell, right? The homeowner can not let you see the property, not let you do showings, can make it really difficult for you to close this transaction. That way they can go with the other guy and get the 210, 220 instead of going with you to get 200. So you can go through that extra step and cloud the title, but if the homeowner is not willing to close the deal with you and wants to go with somebody else, just let them. At that point, you've lost a deal and it's fine. Got to find a different one, or go back and build that rapport. Figure out what the issue is. Try to give them more money, right? You don't want to have to go through that process again and again. But that's really all I can say for that. We've never had to cloud title.
Renegotiate the deal, and I believe the clouding is only good for 30 to 45 days, anyways. I think any title company will just basically trash it after 30 days. So it's not as strong as people think it is. Rapport with a seller is way strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a formula you use to calculate your maximum allowable offer? Yes, we're going to go over that in section 3. So you don't have to tell title, you have to get paid the spread since they know what to do. Absolutely. The title knows exactly what to do in terms of your purchase and sales agreement and your assignment agreement. They know that leftover is all yours.
They have to know. There's a settlement agent.
Does the seller receive the exact amount they ask with pending mortgages and liens they owe? Let me try, I guess, to explain it. If you're offering a homeowner $200,000 and they owe $50,000 in their mortgage and $50,000 in liens, they're only going to walk away with $100,000. Right? That's every real estate transaction. Even if they're going with a realtor and listing it on the market and they got, let's say, $300,000, they're going to have to pay those mortgages and liens out of that amount, and whatever is left over is what they actually walk away with. We're not paying anybody's mortgage. Like if I'm offering him $200,000, I'm not giving an extra 50 for their mortgages and another 50 for their liens. It's not how it works. I'm a licensed realtor in Tennessee, and this is an attorney state. Should I have an attorney prepare my wholesaling contracts, or I can use yours? You can absolutely use ours. You don't have to get an attorney to pre-make you one. There's a lot of them online. So many other wholesalers have it posted. So mine is more of like simple, like right straight to the point. I love when a homeowner can understand the contract. So that's really the biggest one. Like it's written in plain, simple English. When you start using big terms and just like really big legal terms, they're going to want to hire an attorney. They're going to want to double check. When you have it in plain English, like, this is what's going to happen. This is when it's closing. This is the title company. It makes this process smooth. It makes this process a lot more smooth. So yes, you can use the contracts in all 50 states. Just double check. If you're a realtor, you might have to disclose that I am a licensed realtor on the contract. So that's really the only plus. Do we have to use our state's real estate contract? No, unless you're a real estate agent, then you will have to use that real estate agent's contract. So if you're doing on-market deals, you'll have to use that realtor's contract. If you are wholesaling, you can use your own personal contracts. All right, let's jump up to part 3. We're going to cover the scripts, how to calculate an offer, and the contracts. And then we can kind of go over one last Q&A. And hopefully you guys would have learned something new today.
Hey, why don't you take a break a little bit? It's 5:30. Been at it for 2.5 hours.
Right.
Let me see. Here, get some water. I'll entertain the crowd in a little bit, like for a little bit.
All right. Sounds perfect.
It's a hell of a presentation here, by the way.
Thank you.
Lots of content. It's actually I mean, for those of you guys that saw the original version of this presentation, it's evolved, it's changed, it's improved itself, and now we're gonna have it on the website, so we'll have a link sent to you guys. That being said, save the link. You're not gonna see the link on the website. It'll be gone after today. But you will have the email. Save the link, put it on your favorite. It'll be hidden. It'll be on the website. It'll just be hidden. So you won't be able to click it if you go to the website, but if you have the link, you'll be able to access it. For those of you guys that are on the Discord VIP, it'll also be there. And ideally you can open it and sort of navigate through it. It's interactive. So a lot of the buttons and links that Souad was going over will take you to the other places, the other sites, the other services that she was referring to. And we are to actually, I'm going to answer a couple of these questions. Was she comes back. If you were to actually acquire the property, who would you need in your team if we did this remotely, like an attorney, inspector, appraisal? Yeah. So let's talk about the two different scenarios here, right? Like remote investing is much easier when you're wholesaling than when you're rehabbing. Right? If you're gonna rehab a property, if you're gonna actually buy a property, yeah, I mean, more than all of the above, you're gonna need a contractor. And 90% of the time, that's really where the trouble begins, right? Especially, and that's when you're 20-30 minutes away from a project. Imagine if you're 5-6 hours away from it. So me personally, the farthest we've ever built anything is it's been in New York, so about an hour from here. Other than that, when it comes to rehabs of all sizes or any new builds we've done, any subdivisions we've built, any of that has always been a quirky little rule. And I mean, some of you guys may sympathize, some of you guys don't. I put this in place literally about 15 years ago when it all started, that we would really focus on being those local guys. The notion of driving in hours and hours to do a real estate project to me was just ludicrous. So a lot of what we do is literally within 30 minutes from where we live. So it's worked better that way. And when it comes to construction, it's kind of the same thing. Definitely more important to be near your projects. The more projects you have, the more liability you have. So yeah, we try to stay quite close. Could you please give us the link? Yeah, of the free group. Yeah, look, I'm sure we're gonna share it around. I think we're actually gonna put it on YouTube as well, so you guys can have a video of it, to go. When are you sending this? Replace some of this at the end of this later on tonight. I have somewhere to go to, so I'm assuming later tonight you guys will get a blast. That's how many deals. How many deals have we average here? Wow, that's a good one always. So we're sort of I guess a somewhat of a bigger company. There are multiple things happening here. When it comes to wholesale deals, we really try to average between 10 to 20 per year. But we also do rehabs. We also build houses. We do out of levels. I collectively, the interesting thing about this is the way we're structured. One side of the company supplies to the other, right? So the 10 deals that I mentioned to you, those are 10 deals that one entity ended up buying from another one. There is dozens of others that did not go through that process, that went out to either our VIPs, our borrowers, because as some of you guys know, we own a hard money lending company. And it goes to sort of our inner circle. So total, our best years, we've done close to 100 deals. Our worst years, we've done roughly 25 to 35 deals. It's usually there was a point on our I guess when the market was extremely hot. Our average for about 2 years was a house a week. and I know people sometimes look at me like I got two heads, but it's the case. The best years is roughly around 50 houses. So about a house a week. And this is either stuff that we'll buy and rehab, wholesale. This doesn't count any loans that we do. This is strictly real estate assets. So anyways, could you cover everything short, please? Question: what if we find a buyer one day before the inspection period is over and they want to do due diligence. Can you extend the expense? Yeah, you can extend it. It's all workable. I mean, every contract is workable. You can extend, you can prolong. What I can tell you though, in extensions work well. But what I can tell you is like in any other negotiation, when it comes to extending a contract, always think of the other side as well. You know, granted, of course, they want to close, they want to get paid, they want to get their money. So when you ask for an extension, don't just, you know, be kind of like matter of factly, like I'm gonna need it because I'm gonna need it, right? Always bring something to the table. What's worked well for us is really money on the table, right? We don't ask for an extension unless we're doing increasing our deposit, which depending on the structure could be beneficial to the seller or not, but it really is a matter of perception too, right? If you're willing to gamble more on this asset, then you obviously are in the deal. So increase your deposit, number one. Number two, do a small increase on the purchase price. No more than 5,000, no less than 1,000. Increase it and add it, get an addendum to the contract and just you know, perform. But that's usually what will get you an extension on a contract, and usually no more than 30 days. Now lose your EMD if you don't find a cash buyer. Deposits being lost really depends on the structure you have, like on the contract that you signed. By contract, as long as you're within that period, that due diligence period, you can in theory pull out at any time. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, of course, if you didn't pull out within that time frame, you can definitely lose your deposit. We had a decent amount of land. What would you put there? Apartments, multifamily, only multifamily. Or very small houses that could be sort of rented by the average folk, type of thing. But really, where the market is, as far as where the market is sort of heading where the nation is heading, where home ownership in this country is heading, it is very similar to Tokyo, right? Little boxes in the sky. At one point, most of hopefully, I mean, most of us will be gone by then, but at one point, this nation will be exactly that. Tall buildings, lots of people living in them, self-sustained buildings, of course. But yeah, that's where this is going. So a lot of land, a lot of apartments. Density is a problem now and will continue to be a problem over the next 100 years. Plus, and there's also water levels rising. So there's all kinds of issues. The style of multifamily, apartment buildings. I'm not sure what you mean, but apartment buildings. So multifamily to us is anything over 5 units. Anything under 5 units is just residential. So multifamily meaning here's a cool way, and I'll leave you guys with this so I can get started. But a cool way to determine where you can build on something, it's based on what they call density, your DU, your density per unit. So building is all about density. How much can you fit in any given square foot? So most municipalities, without a lot of hassle now, will let you do a 50 DU. So in other words, for every 1 acre of land that you have, you can have up to 50 units within that given piece of land, spread it over generally 4 to 5 levels. So that should give you an idea of what you could build in any given piece of land, pretty much. Anyway, so I'm pretty much done. So what I know this is sort of your favorite part. Lots of value on this last section of the presentation. I mean, lots of value in the whole thing, but definitely in this last section. I just fixed the skip tracing part of the website. My apologies. For some reason, I thought we had that up, but anyways, it's working. If you guys want to put any orders for skip tracing, by all means, it's there, it's ready. And just so I'm clear, I know Souad mentioned it, but I want to make sure that you guys understand it, because we've had this question before. Why skip tracing or leads, right? Skip tracing is really for you for those of you out there that already have the lead service in place. So whether it's Sherpa, whether it's whichever service you have, you already have that, and some of you guys have already paid for it. You don't want it to go to waste, right? So in those cases, just download, get whatever it is that you can get, whatever it is that you paid. And in essence, we let you use our machine. It is what we call it. We put it through our system, we clean it up for you, we make it just right, and we send it back to you. So slightly cheaper than buying our leads that are already scrubbed, already skip traced, already. So we discounted it a little bit for it, but now you get the idea. So if you have leads, you can skip trace through us. If you don't have leads, we can give you skip traced and ready to go leads. Anyways, best of luck to you guys, and I'm here for whatever's needed.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's go to the next part. Part 3. The final one, and I think the most important part. So this is dispo, running the numbers, making an offer, as well as finding cash buyers. So I do want to start it off with this quick video. I think this is by far my favorite video, just because it really is going to put you in that motivation mindset to make those cold calls. Cold calling is not easy. It is not simple. It is, it's a lot of work, but this should make things a little bit easier for you guys. So let's see.
All right. In terms of cold calling, I guess the way to kind of simplify it, or the way to gain your motivation in terms of calling, is that you really are going to just get these 6 major responses. The first one being yes. It's the one that we love to hear. It's the one that you're going to hear the least amount of times. But it's the one that really kind of shocks you, because once they say yes, you're kind of like, wait, what do I do next? Like you've been used to all these no's, you've been used to all these follow-ups. And then once you hear this yes, you're kind of like taken aback. But really the first step is just to let them know who you are. That's where you start building rapport, because now they said yes, now they're interested, they're interested. Now it's time for you to talk about yourself and then get your information from them. So typically for us, as soon as they say yes, awesome, a little about us. We're local in Plainfield for the most part, and buy properties all cash, no fees, no real estate agents or inspections. The check that we write is the check that you take home, right? That's how we started off. And it's like, all right, so I would love to know a little bit more about your property before I give you an offer. Can we start off with the general condition of the home? Once they answer that question, we move into, are there any major repairs that need to be done? Have you done any improvements? And then you kind of go along the script as needed. Then you figure out the motivation, the timeline, and the price. But typically this is the one that we want to hear. This is where you get those motivated homeowners. The next response, and it's the one that you usually hear a lot more than yes, is how much will you give me? What's your offer? You'll hear this during text as well. It's like, okay, so what's your offer? So usually for us, it's basically straight up, before I can give you, can I know a little bit more about the property? What's the general condition? What's the major repairs might be needed? I can give you an offer right now, but I'll be thinking worst case about the condition of the property. I don't know what's happening in the interior of your home. Maybe I've seen it in the exterior. I don't know what's going on the inside. And then again, you continue with the cold calling script of getting more information about the property. The more you know, the better chances of you writing up the best offer possible. The third one is the follow-up. Maybe in the future, you're going to get a couple of these, especially around this time. A lot of people want to wait until the summer, right? It's a couple months later. People are in school, work, whatever the case may be. A lot of the times you'll hear them say, okay, maybe in June, maybe in July, maybe August. So for those, it really is just a matter of following up, making sure that you kind of give them a reason to remember you. Have them try to save your name on their phone, send a business card, text them your information. That way it's on file. Just a way for you to kind of stay fresh on their minds, send follow-up emails instead of, calling them back every week because they're not interested right now. Send follow-up texts. It's kind of the way that you do it. Follow-up becomes the most important thing in wholesaling. We're all calling the same people. There's really no way around it. You're calling the same people, you're pulling the same list, you're using the same services. The only thing that's different is that you're calling at the right time or you're following up at the right time.
It really is just that. You're not calling someone special. You're not doing something outside of the box. Everyone's doing the exact same thing. It's just a matter of how well you do it and how many times you do it. So that's how it kind of works for the follow-ups. And this is something that you're going to do a lot of when it comes to wholesaling. That's why we use REI Reply compared to other softwares, because it has that follow-up included. The next one is no, which you're going to hear the most of. And it's okay to hear it. Some people are just not interested in selling their. It's a big decision. Not everyone is motivated. Just because it's run down does not mean that they're looking to sell it. It really is just a matter of getting them at the right time. So you're going to hear a lot of it. You can always, ask for other properties. I've seen this before. I've seen wholesalers where they're asking about the specific property and they forget to ask about a different property that might be the investment home. The one that they're asking about is their personal home that they're living in. So they're asking them about 123 Main Street that they love and took care of and fixed up for themselves. And you completely forget about 321 Main Street. That's, a hoarder house and completely untaken care of. So it doesn't hurt to ask if there's any other properties, or maybe even vacant land or something else that needs some love to it. Another thing that you can do in terms of no is, if you know anyone that's interested in selling, reach out to us. We'd love to offer you a referral fee. You can treat them as a bird dog. There's nothing wrong with that. Offer them a referral fee if they have someone to refer to you. So that's kind of how we handle the no responses. Just try to make it some type of benefit to us, especially since we're going to be hearing it the most. Response 5 and 6 are usually the big ones in terms of people that don't, know why you're calling. So 5 is, how did you get my number? You're going to hear this a lot. You can really say the truth. I have a data service that I send over addresses I'm interested in. And if they have a phone number, they send it back. Or, we use public county records or whatever we are using in terms of tools or softwares, let them know, right? There's no need to lie. There's no need to try to get creative with it. The truth really is going to help you in this one. And then the who are you? Pretty simple, right? Local home buyer, local investor, whatever you want to call yourself, looking for properties in the area. So these are your big 6. So when you're cold calling and you're feeling a little anxious and nervous of what the response is going to be, best believe it's going to be one of these 6, and you already have the rebuttal. You already have the response ready for it. And that's kind of the way that you just set yourself mentally to start these cold calls.
Let me get out of this. All right. In terms of cold calling, I guess the way to kind of simplify it, or the way to gain your motivation in terms of, all right. So main focus, you're gonna get the big 6 answers. And if you just know how to answer those, then you're already set for success, right? If you know that those are the responses that you're going to get, you're not going to feel that fear or anxiety. I mean, you're still going to be nervous, right? You're calling random strangers that have the potential of yelling and cursing you out. So obviously there's always going to be that fear factor. But when you know that these are the 6 most common responses and you have a response already ready for that, you're better prepared to make those calls. So I really do enjoy that video. Let's talk about the common motivations of homeowners, right? We're looking for motivated homeowners. And these are the biggest ones that you're going to see. Financial distress is foreclosure, bankruptcy, loss of employment, tax lien, judgment, back property taxes, child support issue, can't afford payments, just needs cash as soon as possible. The next one is physical distress on the actual property. So property is boarded up, code violation, fire damage, a trash rental, water damage, abandoned and vacant. And then circumstantial distress, divorce, sellers in jail, it was transferred, rental vacancy, old age for elderly, inheritance, probate, liquidation, wants to downsize, death in the family, and bad investment. So most of the time when a homeowner wants to sell and you're asking, yeah, this seems like a property that I'd be interested in, why are you looking to sell? This is going to be one of your answers. It usually always falls into that, either that financial distress or that circumstantial. So really, these are your biggest things. Homeowner pre-qualifiers. So this is very, very important. When you're speaking with a homeowner, these are the 4 most important things to get out of the homeowner. First one is the condition, right? Right over here, condition. What is the general condition of the home? Are there any major repairs that need to be done? Have you made any improvements to the house? The reason for these questions is to get the homeowner to talk more about their property, right? What's the general condition of the house? If they say fair, good, perfect, bad, next one is any major repairs that need to be done. How's the roof? How's the boiler? How's the flooring? How's the kitchen and bath? Any major repairs that need to be done. Start talking to the homeowner. You need to get as much information as possible. Next one, are there any improvements that you made, right? Did you fix up the roof? Did you change the boiler? Have you updated the kitchen? Have you updated the bathroom, right? You want to get as much information as possible. Next one after condition is your timeline. How soon are they looking to sell? Now, something you're going to realize is during, these months, like I said in the earlier videos, during these months, people are going to want to sell during the summer. So that's really important. That way, you know how to kind of price it, how to lay out the scheduling, how to follow up. If they're planning on selling on the summer, you don't necessarily want to sign the contract now, but you want to follow up. Even if you do assign the contract now, you can set a closing date for the summer. So anything that you need to do to get it signed, you absolutely can. Next one is the motivation, which is going to fall into one of these categories. And the way that we ask it is, this seems like a property that we'd be interested in. I just wanted to know why are you looking to sell? And that's when they start talking about, their situation. And last but not least, and the most important one, how much do you want for it? You can get all these questions answered, but if you don't know how much they're asking for it, it might be a wholesale deal. It may be market value deal. It might be, there's so much that goes on to it with price. So the better you can get the price out of them, the better chances that you can give them a fair offer. So the cold calling script that I'm going to share is the one that I actually use. You can ask my VAs. They're in the chat themselves as well. So these are the ones that we actually use. There's no hiding it. I'm not sharing one that's, basic and then using a better model. This is the exact one that I use. I've used it for years and it works. First up is the intro. Hello, this is Souad from Direct Buyers Nationwide. You can say I'm a local investor if you don't have an LLC or business name. I was calling about your property on 123 Main Street. Just wanted to know if you were interested in selling it. Now, for me, I'm really big on straight to the point, right? If you're going to call me and you're going to be like, hey, the weather is great outside, trying to build that rapport right off the bat, I'm hanging up, right? What do you want? Who are you? That's the first thing I want answered when I'm answering a phone call. So this is why I love being straight to the point. It says exactly who I am and straight to the point. I'm calling about your property on 123 Main Street. Are you interested in selling it? If they say yes, move right along to collecting the information. If they say no, do you have any other properties you might be interested in selling? This is so important and people seem to forget it all this time. And I've seen this happen. A wholesaler had a property under contract and that same homeowner had another contract with a different wholesaler. How does that happen? That first wholesaler should have got both of them under contract, but he never asked about any other properties, right? So it's always important. Ask if they say no, or even if they say yes, during your script, you can always ask, and I kind of will go over it too. Even if they say yes, and we move along to this script, you can see right here, are there any other properties you'd consider selling? Because they might have 2, 3, 4 properties. If they're in financial distress on one property, it might be all properties that they own. A lot of investors have multiple properties. And if they're in a bad situation, they're going to want to sell everything. If they say no, okay, no worries. We won't call again. Make sure not to call. Don't annoy anybody. You don't want to push anybody. You don't want to force anybody. So that's kind of how I do it. We use the first 2 rebuttals and then we move on to the next one. If they say yes, this is the next thing that we do. So the whole purpose of this call is to get some information about the property so we can make you an offer. Do you have 5 minutes so I can ask you some questions? Same checklist, general condition of the property. Are there any repairs? Have you made any improvements? How long have you owned the property? Do you live in the house or is it a rental? If it's a rental, what is it currently renting for? Is the property listed with a real estate agent? Are there any other properties you'd consider selling? And then if they say yes to this question, then go back and get more information about that property. And you're going to see that these questions focus on these 4, and you'll see how it flows. So this is how we're going to get the condition. Next one is we're going to get that motivation. and timeline and price. So timeline, if everything makes sense, how soon would you like to sell? Amount owed. If we buy the property, will we need to pay off any taxes, liens, or a mortgage? If so, do you have a rough idea of how much? Most homeowners do not know the exact amount, but they do know a rough idea, right? They get letters in the mail, so they kind of have an average of how much they owe in mortgage. PropStream offers it to you as well. You can see an estimate of how much someone potentially owes in their mortgage. It won't show you liens. You'd have to call up your county office to pull up somebody's liens. And even that, it might be a little process to get. It's a lot easier to have the homeowner try and get it directly. And then the last one is the price, right? Knowing that there are no real estate agent commissions, we cover all fees, and we pay in cash. Do you have any idea of how much money you want to walk away with? Right afterwards, this sounds like a property will likely want to make an offer. I'm going to take everything you told me to a manager. We will evaluate it and call you back. So this is one that my VAs use. So that's why it's kind of worded like that. But you can always have it worded like that for a different reason. One of the things you're going to notice is you want to be on the homeowner's side. You want to feel like they're in control of the situation. They're in control of the conversation. That way they're not hanging up or feeling frustrated or feel like they're already losing control in their home. They don't want to lose control in this conversation. So if you go with the home manager, when you call them back the next day, you can say, hey, spoke with my manager. This is how high they're willing to go. And then they're going to talk to you like, yo, unfortunately, this isn't what they're going to do. I need a little bit more. I can't do this offer. This is where you come back with like, yo, I can speak with my manager. I'll try to do the best that I can. I know you're going through this and this motivation, go back to their motivation, figure out why they're looking to sell. I know you're going through an inheritance. I know this isn't something that you wanted to deal with. I know this property just making you lose money. Let me speak to my manager. Let me see what we can do in order to get you the best offer possible. So always have someone else to blame. Feel like you're on the homeowner's side and that you're blaming somebody else. It's just a way that might work. It's not always going to work, but you want to try to use every tool that you can. But in terms of offers, we typically try to give an offer either later that afternoon or the next day, right? I don't want to give an offer like blind, right? I want to be able to do my due diligence. I want to look up the property. I want to see how much houses are selling for in the area. I can't give them an offer right then and there. So I always let them know, let me run the numbers real quickly and I'll give you a call back later today and I'll let you know. Another thing that we do that's a little bit different is we'll send contracts, right? Contracts are easy to write up, right? It takes 5 minutes and it differentiates you from everybody. So one of the things we'll collect is, can I get an email so I can send you some more information about our company? And once I run the numbers and I come up with an offer, I'll send them a contract. I lose nothing from doing that. And it puts money in their face, something that a lot of wholesalers aren't doing. Taking an offer out loud is not the same as sending you a real legal valid contract to your email and then calling you back afterwards. That's how you can follow up. Like, hey, I just sent you a contract with an offer. Let me know what you think about it. And that way you're having conversations. They have the deal in front of them and they're going to remember you. Remember, follow-up becomes really important. They're going to remember you. You sent them a whole legal contract. And even when they're thinking of selling, guess what? Your contract is in their email, unless they like trash it, but it's going to be in their email. So that's something that we do. Again, you can always do it. It takes literally a couple minutes to draw up a contract and send it over. Next, making an offer. So this is, I would say, the hardest part, running numbers, right? Making the best offer possible, calculating numbers, calculating comps, calculating this is the work of it. This is where wholesalers actually have to do the work. You have someone that says, yes, you've gotten all the information out of them. Now it's time for you to run the numbers and figure out if this is a potential deal or not. So here are some of the steps to go for. First, determine the property's location and characteristics, such as square footage, number of bedroom and bathrooms, and any unique features. Search for recently sold properties in the area that have similar characteristics to the property you're interested in. Analyze the sold properties to determine their market value and how they compare to the property you're interested in. Consider the property's condition. Evaluate the condition of the property, including any repairs or upgrades needed. This can affect the property's value and can be factored into the final estimate. Consider the market conditions. The current state of the real estate market can also affect the as-is value of a property. If the market is strong and there is a high demand for properties in the area, the as-is value may be higher than in a weak market with low demand. We saw this during COVID, right? There was a very high demand in houses. People were going above market value, outbidding one another. So we were able to kind of price higher, give better offers, give more money, because we knew we were going to be able to get it from an investor, because they were going to make money regardless. If they list it, they were getting $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 above market value. Not the case in this market. We're slowing down. We're going back to stability. So you want to keep that in mind. So you want to basically run your numbers as best as you can. Use that 70% rule. Go down to 65% if you can. But the lower that you can get it, the better chances of you actually making this deal work. So let's talk about calculating offers. So ARV, after repair value, you're going to hear this number. You're going to hear this term very often. After repair value is basically saying, after this house is all fixed up, this is how much it's going to sell for, right? And the only way to figure out that number is to see how much houses are actually selling for. And the way that we do that is we look at comparables, right? We're going on Zillow, we're filtering it to sold, we're going on PropStream, we're looking at comps, and we're seeing houses that sold in the past 3 to 6 months that have the same bedroom, square footage, same style of the house, and we're seeing how much is sold, right? We're looking at houses in good condition to almost perfect condition, because this is what we're telling the investor. Hey, this property looks like this, but if you put this much rehab into it, it can potentially sell for this amount. Why? Because the house next door or the house the next block away sold for this amount. And this is how it looks like. So that's what we're trying to find out. So we're trying to find 3 houses that share the same features of the property that we're interested in. And then we're just finding the average. So add them all up, divide it by 3, and that's your ARV. Plus or minus 5,000 to 10,000 for features. So if, you know, what the house that you're looking for is almost perfect to the one that you're looking at, but one has a driveway or one has an extra bedroom, you can play around with the numbers a bit. Subtract or add 5,000 to 10,000 for specific features. And this formula will kind of show you how it is. Calculating rehab. So you guys know that the formula for calculating an offer is 70%. Let me see, sorry. Right here. Calculating an offer. ARV times 70% minus rehab minus assignment fee. Let me kind of show you guys how to handle that rehab part. I know it's not right in here, but this is it. So ARV, so that after repair value, multiply it by 70%, gives you the number. You're going to subtract it with the rehab, and then how much you want to make, your assignment fee, gives you your maximum allowable offer. So how do I calculate this rehab part, right? There's a handy dandy calculator. It's not perfect, but guess what? We're not contractors. We don't know how much it's going to cost to change a roof, change the boiler, fix up this property, but we can get as close as possible with a calculator. So this is the one that we use, and it's getting updated all the time because prices are changing, right? Price of labor, price of construction costs, everything is changing. So this is getting higher and higher. So this was just recently updated again. The way that it's kind of calculated is if a house is 1,500 square foot or under, if it's a light rehab, you're going to need about 25,000 in repairs, medium, 50,000, heavy, 75, full gut, about 100. That's kind of how we do it. 1,500 to 3,000 square foot, same thing. 3,000 square foot and up, it might be more than this, right? Again, if a house is like 600, 500 square foot, it might be less than this, right? Just keep that in mind. These are just estimates. We are not contractors. You can have a contractor come and give you an estimate. Some do it for free. Some charge a couple $100 to get you estimates. As wholesalers, we're trying to spend the least amount of money possible. So we're going to use this with this estimator. An investor is going to, regardless, come in, run his numbers, do his due diligence, bring his contractor. So this is more for you to calculate the best offer possible. This isn't for an investor. They're not going to take your number seriously. If they're a real investor, they don't care what number you have for rehab, right? Because they have to do their own due diligence for that part. You're not a contractor, so your number means nothing. But the number is more for you to calculate that offer. All right, another way that you can kind of calculate rehab is by the square footage. So square footage, so a light rehab ranges from 20 to 40 square foot. Medium, same thing. A heavy rehab, full gut. And then you can kind of calculate it straight from the square footage if you don't want to use this calculator. you can measure it straight from the square footage. Next one, the offer part, right? ARV times 70%. We already covered the rehab and then our fee. A lot of people ask, you know, how should I make my fee? Like what should I give 5, 10, 20, 30? How high can I go? This really depends on how low you can get the homeowner to go. If, let's say, this is an example we're going to talk about. If the ARV is 600,000, right? The houses are selling in perfect condition for 600,000. I'm going to multiply it by 70%. That is the formula that we use. It's going to get you 420, right? We're going to subtract our rehab, that 40K. We're going to be left with about 380, right? That 380 is your break even. This is what an investor is going to pay. So that 380 covers the investor's profit, the investor's closing costs, their title fees, their rehab. 380 is your break even price. Whatever you can get under that 380 is your assignment fee. So if I can get 350, I make 30,000. If I can get 340, I make 40,000. If I can only get it to 370, I make 10,000. So when it comes to assignment fee, it's not a number that you can just set. It's how low can you get the homeowner to go. The lower they can go, the more money you make. So that's how we kind of play it out. Again, when you're making an offer for a homeowner, if your maximum allowable offer is 350, the first number out of your mouth should not be 350. It really should not, because where's the room to negotiate? You're capped at 350 and you just came up with the offer at 350. The next thing they're going to say is 360 or 370, but you have no room to move. So that's why we want to start a little bit lower. So we'll start at 325 and negotiate our way up to 350. Let's go to doing your homework. Research the market, right? Before you start negotiating, research the market, figure out what areas of the property are selling quickly, where there's a high demand for buyers. This is like the most important thing when you're first starting out, especially if you're doing your own neighborhood. Learn your own neighborhood, right? You should know this stuff. And if you don't, this is what you should be doing first off. Next, you're going to analyze the property. Like we've said before, determine the repair costs and other factors that can affect the sale. That way you can put the best offer possible. Third, making an offer, right? We have all the tools. You have the calculator, you have the calculating rehab, you have everything in order to make the best offer possible. Give them that offer. Show value, right? This is an important one. And kind of falls with the counter offer, right? Sometimes the homeowner is going to say no, right? It's too low. I don't want it. So the way that we kind of show value to justify that low offer is listen, your property is in rough condition. Your property needs work. Your property is if you sell it on the open market right now, you're going to either have to give credit to a homeowner, you're going to have to deal with closing costs, you're going to have to deal with title fees, attorney fees, realtor commissions. You're going to be strung along for 90 days, open houses every weekend. Like, we're not lying. We might be exaggerating just a little bit, but we're not lying. This is all going to happen, right? They're going to deal with a real estate agent. If they want to do it themselves, they're going to deal with all the contracts, all the legal work by themselves if they're doing a for sale by owner. But if you're dealing with a real estate agent, you're going to be paying 5 to 6% in realtor commissions. This is coming out of your own pocket. You're going to be dealing with open houses every weekend. You're going to be dealing with closing costs. You're going to be dealing with title fees. You're going to be dealing with attorney fees. There's so much that comes into place with this. And if you come with us, the number that we're going to agree on right now is the number that you're going to walk away with, right? You don't have to worry about closing costs. You don't have to worry about title fees. You don't have to worry about realtor commissions. So that's kind of how we play it. And it shows value. And it also is a way to counter offer them. Like, we're going to give, I can do, instead of 350, I can go up to maybe 360 or 370. Another thing that I kind of want to add is the way to kind of show value is tell the truth, right? You're an investor. At the end of the day, buying this house to break even does not make sense. So you want me to purchase your property, put $50,000-$60,000 worth of work into it, and then walk away making 360? The house, I bought it for 300, put $60,000 worth of work, and you want me to sell it at 360? It's not possible. That's where you bring ARVs and comparables into this. The house next door that's in perfect condition sold for $400,000. I have to purchase your property at 300. I have to put $60,000 worth of work. I have to pay 5% in closing costs, 6% in realtor commissions when I list it. I have to pay your closing costs and my closing costs when I sell. Like, break it down to them in every step and show them that this is how the numbers are working. This is how I'm bringing you my number. I'm not pulling it out of thin air. I need to make some sort of profit. I'm an investor. The only way that this works is if I make money from this deal. So that's kind of how we do it. And with this, it's really just practice. It really is just learning what homeowners are going to say. Eventually, they all say the same thing, right? They all have the same excuses. They all have the same rebuttals. And once you learn how to, master those rebuttals yourself, you can be able to answer any one of their questions. Next one is contracts, wholesaling contracts A to B. There's only 2 contracts you're going to need in wholesaling: the purchase and sales agreement and the assignment agreement. Those are like your 2 biggest ones. The purchase contract with the right legal language, deposits or a good faith earnest deposit in an attorney's account, proof of funds from a hard money lender. These are really, really valid 3 points that are shown in this video. So this is our attorney's earnest money deposit file. So every contract that we send has our attorney that says, hey, this firm is holding set amount of deposit for this property. And then this is a proof of funds. Something that you're going to notice, especially if you're doing like on-market deals, you're going to get asked for proof of funds, right? Which is proof that you can actually afford to buy this house. The way that you can get a proof of funds is 1, you team up with an investor and they offer you their proof of funds, or 2, get your own approval. It's free. You literally just need a 620 credit score. I'll kind of show you. Do I have a section here for it? We can kind of go back to it. I don't. We don't have it. But if you go on proof of funds right here, let me see if I can just. Let me show you guys. You can get your own proof of funds. Nothing is stopping you from getting your own proof of funds.
You can travel to it, so it'll bring you right back. You're good.
Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. So this is what you need. You need a 620. It's a soft pull, so it's not even a hard inquiry. No experience needed. You don't even need a deal under contract. If you are planning on to actually purchasing this property, you might need a 20% down payment. But if you just need the proof of funds, you just really need that 620 credit score. And with hard money lenders, they'll get you approved. You'll get a file that says, hey, this person is approved for this amount. Or if you're using your LLC, this LLC is approved for this amount. And now you can make offers confidently, really, because you're actually providing legal work that you can afford to purchase this property. But let's go back. But that's the proof of funds portion. Literally right here, you can apply for it and get your own proof of funds. If you can't, or if you have a low credit score or no credit score, you can always team up with an investor and use theirs. Link to contracts is attached here. In terms of sending it, DocuSign, right? Send things through email, virtually. You don't have to worry about sending it through snail mail or going down to the property and having to sign it yourself. You can. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want speed and efficiency, just DocuSign it. These are videos in terms of the contracts. We can go step by step. Let me see. I'm just going to play it for like a few minutes because this is a really long video. But if you guys have time, it explains the contract step by step, A to Z, every sentence, so you guys can understand it. One of the worst things that you can do is send a contract to a homeowner and they come back to you with a question and you don't know how to answer it, right? How are you the investor that's going to purchase their house, but you're sending me a file that you don't understand, right? So this video is going to break it down sentence by sentence. You'll understand everything. So if a homeowner ever asks you a question, you have it. The purchase sales agreement is over here. And I think towards the end is the assignment agreement. But let me kind of next up, we have between sellers. So these are the homeowners. These are the owners of the actual house. And this can be an LLC. This can be the seller's name. It can be 2 sellers' names. But you just put whoever owns the property, whoever is under it in the deed, that's who you put as the sellers. So if it's under an LLC, put the LLC's name. If it's under 2 people's name, put both of their names there. All right, let's go over the next one. So, and buyer, so add investment properties, LLC, and or assigns. Seller agrees to sell and buyer agrees to buy the following described real property together with all improvements, fixtures, and personal property described below. So this is where you would put your information. You can put your name, you can put your LLC. If you do not have an LLC,
that's not an issue. You can still put it under your personal name. I always recommend that after your first or second deal, go and get an LLC. You can fill an LLC out online, or you can go to your local accountant. It costs between 300, 400. I did mine for 300. I've seen people go as high as 500. I've seen people do it for 150. So an LLC is great for tax purposes, liabilities, but you do not need one to start. If you want to get one in the beginning, go right on ahead. But it's something that you're going to eventually need. All right, next up we have property includes all fixtures. Fixtures are basically built-in items. So built-in appliances, draperies, including hardware, shades, blinds, windows, door screening. I mean, this stuff isn't necessarily important. It is basically if the homeowner tries to take toilets and I don't know, it's like if the homeowner is just trying to take the floors, take the tiles, take the countertops, take the granite, these are fixtures that are built into the home. They're considered also property. But this isn't typically something that you would have to deal with. I mean, I've never had to deal with it. I don't know if you guys might, but basically it's saying that the property includes all the fixtures. Anything that's built into the home has to stay in the home. So next up, we have street address. So you would just put the address of the property, street, county, block, and lot number. So where do you find your block and lot number? This can honestly be found on your county websites. You can plug in the address and it gives you the block and lot number. Your state's county records site. There's a lot of websites that'll give you the block and lot number. In terms of personal property included, property is sold as is. So it's an as is condition. As you see it is what you're gonna get basically. For the purchase price, $120,000, but this is the price that you agreed on with the homeowner. This is the price that they're selling it to you for. And now this price is what you're trying to get more for, so you can get the difference. So you gotta.
Kind of just wanted to do a quick overview of it. You guys can have access to the video throughout whatever time. But this is a breakdown of the contract step by step. And then they're linked right up here. So you have access to them. And they work in all 50 states. If you're a real estate agent, the only difference is you might have to disclose that you're a realtor at the bottom. But that depends on your state and your regulations. All right, time to sell your contract, right? You got it locked up with the homeowner. You ran the numbers, you sent over a contract, they agreed to the price, they locked it up. Now it's time to find your buyer. First step, take photos, right? The more you get, the better. Try to get 5 really good images that you can use to market the property. Front, exterior, don't forget the driveway, back, kitchen, bathroom, basement, attic. The reason for that is the first question that investors are going to ask you is, do you have any photos, right? They don't want to take the drive all the way there. They want the photos first. And then afterwards, they'll go down there and see the property in person. So you always want to take photos. If you're doing things virtual, this is where boots on the grounds comes into place. And this is where working with the homeowner comes into place. Ask the homeowner for photos, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Or if you are in the area, go down there, take photos, meet the homeowner, build that rapport in person. But that really is the first step. Another thing, taking photos. A lot of people ask, should I do this before I give them an offer or after? Great question. You can do it as both. So the way that we do it, I really want to see the house before I give an offer, but sometimes that's not the case. Like if we really want to give them an offer, we don't want to lose this deal, we'll give them an offer, but we'll make it contingent on the inspection, right? If we go see the house and it's not the way that you explained it, then we're going to have to change our offer. So that's kind of how we do it. It's like, hey, I took everything that you said, the roof is okay, the floors are okay, the bathrooms are outdated, I put that into consideration. This is my offer, but keep in mind, I do want to see the property next week. And if it doesn't fit what you've told me, we might have to reevaluate and run our numbers again. So that's the way that we kind of do it. Next one is to market your contract. Hopefully you got pictures during your inspection. If you're wholesaling virtually, again, you can ask the owner to take photos. If the property is vacant, you can just hire boots on the ground on Facebook. This will save you and the investor time of making a trip in case they're not interested. You can use Google Drive to store your photos. It's a free way. You can share links with investors. And then the next one is finding cash buyers, right? There are so many ways to find cash buyers. So I'm going to go straight to this, and it's going to show you exactly how to find cash buyers, how to build your database. And Afterwards, we'll explain it one last time, talk about title companies and closing dates, and then we're set for the day. So let's go.
This is what they do for a living. They need constant deals fed to them. And this is where we come in and where we send them these deals. Now, the hardest part is reaching these cash buyers. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it and all the tools and softwares you're going to need to find cash buyers. Whether you go the free way or you go the paid software way, both ways work. Finding cash buyers is going to be simple if you follow this video. So I'm big on visual learning. You know, someone can tell you exactly what to do, but it's so much easier when someone actually shows you. Now, linked in the description is the free wholesaling course. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it before. If you haven't, it's linked in the description. It's linked on all my social media platforms. Facebook has this section for groups, right? These are Facebook groups, and you're going to join real estate investor groups. So what you're going to do is search up your state's real estate group. So for me, I'm going to do New Jersey real estate, and I'm going to press see all. Now, these are all the real estate groups that are in New Jersey. Some are filtered by city, some are filtered by county, you know, either or, doesn't matter. You join every single one of them. And there's a whole point of all this. And when you're not joined, it's going to say join rather than visit. If you're actually joined, it'll say visit, you know, and it's easy to join. You literally just press join group. Some of them have questionnaires where they'll ask you a couple questions, but all you do is press join. So once you're in these groups, this is where the fun starts. So once you're actually in the group, you're going to go to groups. I'm going to pick this one, New Jersey Real Estate Wholesalers. And what you're going to do is on this search bar right here, you're going to search at Gmail. Right? Oh, here's one of mine. That is so funny. This was back in 2020. But this is a great example. So sometimes posting on these investor groups is great, where you can get these emails, but we're going to build a cash buyer list. And what we do is we go to these posts, and at Gmail just filters it where there's comments that say at Gmail. You can do at Hotmail, whatever. We're just trying to get the most emails. Now look, 11 comments. All of these are emails. This one's a big one. This one has 60 comments. So this is a jack. And what you're going to do is for all of these emails, you're going to copy and paste them. So we're going to take all these emails. You know, I'm just showing an example, but for you, you take the entire thing. You're going to copy it. And we're talking about every single post that you find. We're trying to build as big of an email list as we can. Now, a lot of people go and make a Google sheet, an Excel sheet, which is fine. You absolutely can do that. But there's another way that you can do it. It really is up to you which way that you want to do. So once you have your little email either in Google Sheet, or you're just going to copy and paste and send it directly to these softwares, either or works. But these are going to be your two big softwares. It's going to be the Sender app, which I currently use, and MailChimp, which I used to use. So both of them have these free trials. So the free basic plan offers you 10,000 sends a month. And then the Sender app sends you 15,000 emails a month. So I use Sender just because it was a cheaper alternative, but MailChimp is great as well. MailChimp gets pretty expensive once you want more. Sender app is pretty cheap, and they both do the exact same thing. So you're fine picking either or. So with the Sender app, you're going to create an account. I'm going to just log in and show you guys for Sender, and I'm going to do the same exact thing for MailChimp. So for the Sender app, you're going to go to subscribers and you're going to say add subscribers. Now, here's where you can import the file from a Google Sheet or an Excel, but here's where you can just copy and paste. So literally paste it. Now, here's the thing, and this is where the extra step comes in. These softwares will pick up any email, but if it's wrong, like if there's writing within the email, they're not going to pick up the email. So that's where you have to clear it out. It doesn't matter that there's a reply, there's a mic vera, they're not going to take these are going to be errors, but they're going to take anything that has an actual email. For MailChimp, you're going to go on audience, you're going to go on contacts, and you're going to do add contacts, add a subscriber, import contact. So you're going to either import from uploading a file, uploading from another service. So if you want to go from Sender to MailChimp, and then of course, copy and paste. And same thing as Sender, you're going to paste it. So as you guys can see, it's kind of the exact same thing. They both do the exact same thing. You can import a file, you can
transfer from MailChimp, you can transfer from another software, copy, paste, continue to organize it if you want. If you're doing multiple states, if you're doing virtual, you can tag them like this is just New Jersey. And the same thing for this one, submit, go to the next one. But the most important part about all this, that you created your email group, you have about 1,000 emails in this thing. Now you have to create these campaigns. Now this is where your creative juices come into play, where you actually have to build these campaigns of information where you're going to send out the property to your cash buyers. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that. So this is an old campaign, just an example, something that you guys can follow, but usually it's a logo up here. You don't have to, but I do. A picture of the property, the address of the property. Some people keep it hidden. You absolutely can until, the investor gets you a proof of funds. So you know that they're a real cash buyer, and then you can send them the full address, or you can just send it to them directly. If it's vacant, it shouldn't be an issue. Information about the property itself, the after repair value, estimated reno cost, the asking price, and then basic information on the actual property. Now, I like to add pictures as well. So just a Google Drive of the pictures of the property. So pretty simple, straight to the point. All they have to do is click on it. So they don't email you asking you, I want pictures. How does it look inside? It's already in the campaign itself. And then I also add comparables, comps, right? Where did I get the ARV? So I use Adobe. It's just MLS comps. But, I'm a realtor, so I do have access to the MLS. Some people don't, which is fine. You can use Zillow links or just Zillow screenshots. It's usually more than enough. But this is how the campaign looks. I also have a section where if they want to create an appointment, they fill out a form. And all this you can create easily within the app on any campaign. They're going to go on market. They put that much just because someone says, yeah, I want to put it off. That's just, marketplace. And also we're going to go back on Facebook. And you're going to go on marketplace right over here. Same as we did with Facebook groups, we're going to do the exact same thing with Facebook marketplace. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how it looks. So when we're uploading, we're literally just posting it like we're posting any other thing. Putting the bedroom, bathroom, the price, the address. Of course, you can always hide the address if you want. And then I always like to add, it's an assignment contract. So not regular people are reaching out to me, and regular people in a sense that people that want like an FHA conventional loan, that are looking just for a regular mortgage property. So we're looking for cash or hard money buyers. So that's exactly how I do it. And then I post it, and you're going to get messages all over Facebook about this property. Hundreds of messages. Like, I'm going to show you guys my actual inbox. Just about properties. So truthfully, if you have a good deal, finding cash buyers is the easiest part of all this, especially if you're using Facebook. So you're either going to post it on Marketplace and have buyers come to you, or you're going to get a bunch of emails, create your cash buyer list, and just send them emails directly to them right in front of them. It is one of the best ways. But again, there's also other ways. So we're going to go over that. I don't think I have to show you guys these just because they're really simple in a sense, and they follow similar to what we're going to be doing on Facebook. You're following the same strategies in the campaigns that you're making. You're following the same thing on how to find these cash buyers, but I'll explain a little more. So on Craigslist, you guys already know Craigslist. You're going to find a little bit more of the older cash buyers, older investors that still use Craigslist, but it's still a great way. All you do is post the information about the property, same as what you did on Facebook. Another way is LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is special. I gotta say, LinkedIn is similar to Facebook. LinkedIn has also these investor groups as well that you can join, real estate investor groups. And now I think the key point of LinkedIn and why I like it is the fact that people write that they're an investor right on their page, right? And it says what state that they're located at. So it's usually easy to pinpoint, and just sending a quick message right on LinkedIn, or just posting, or just creating a really good, like adding everyone you can that's an investor in that specific state, and then just posting on your page about a specific property. So the same thing as you would do on Facebook, you're going to do it on LinkedIn. Now, the next one we have is real estate auctions. So every county has a real estate auction. Foreclosures, sheriff sales, whatever you want to call them, they all have it. You're going to go either on auction.com, or you're going to search up on Google your county's sheriff sale or your county's auction for foreclosure homes. And you're going to show up because it's absolutely free to show up to these auctions. So what you're going to do is go a little bit early to these auctions and see who's actually registering and has a deposit. So this deposit can be 20%. Here in Jersey, it's 20%. I know some states and some counties have a little bit differently, but they need to have actual money in order to bid. So you're going to go early, see who's actually registering. That way you're not, talking to just regular wholesalers. But if you want to network, that's also a great way to meet other investors and wholesalers. But that's how I would do with real estate auctions. There's so many wholesalers that come with their clipboard and just writing people's names, emails, and phone numbers, right? Just to add them to their email list. Again, it's all about your list. Being able to put a deal in front of people is way better than having them trying to reach out, because they're most likely not going to reach out. So this is a great way to build your email list as well as form those connections with these investors and these buyers. The next one is real estate agents. Same thing as any other thing. You're trying to build connections with these agents because they do know investors. They've done deals, they've listed their properties, they've listed their fixer-uppers. With agents, it's a little bit different just because they do want some sort of compensation for their time and for their efforts. So if you're willing to part with a little bit of money, then yeah, agents are the way to go. The next one is networking events, which is amazing. Go on local meetups, go on whatever investor groups that you're in. There's always something going on, right? There's always some type of meeting, some type of mastermind going on, and they're not all, costing you thousands of dollars. Some are just free. Some are just for actual networking. So I do recommend to go to those, talk about your deal, talk to investors, see what they're looking for, so that way you can target those deals directly. The next one, hard money lenders. So hard money lenders are when people say they're using other people's money to finance a deal. They're using hard money lenders, or they're using private money lenders. And hard money lenders, you give them a call. You can search it up right on Google, hard money lenders in New Jersey, and they'll give you a bunch. And a lot of these lenders do lend nationwide, especially the bigger companies. So a quick call, usually just asking, do you guys have any clients that purchase properties in blank, whatever city, whatever state? And usually they'll reach out. You know why? Because they're going to get a loan in the process if they find this client a deal, right? So it's better for them. So reach out to hard money lenders, ask them, do you know anyone, any of your clients list that buy properties, multifamily in Trenton, New Jersey, or wherever, in Houston, Texas? And they'll give you a list. Reach out to these clients. And the reason that they're giving you this is because it's a win-win for them. If the client ends up liking the deal, they just got a loan and they make money off the loan. So great way, hard money lenders. And then the next ways are bigger pocket and connected investors. These are groups that focus primarily on real estate. Search it up, create an account, and look what people are posting, look at what people are doing. So I do recommend to just have those accounts on hand. I think some of these do charge to post. I think bigger pockets, you have to have some sort of account to be able to post in a specific forum. The same with connected investors, but you can look and comment for free. So usually just comment, hey, I have a deal, reach out to me here or whatever. But if you want to go the paid way, you can always buy the plans that these softwares offer. And now the last ways, and kind of the way that I try to not go for, but it is still a viable option, is using softwares, right? Using PropStream and using batch leads. And I'll show you guys exactly. We'll share our screen again, and I'll show you guys exactly how it works with PropStream and batch leads, how to find cash buyers on these lists as well. So PropStream and batch leads. Now I completely recommend these for lead generation, finding motivated sellers, but you can also use.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there just because we did cover the cash buyer part in the beginning of this video. So for those that missed it, it'll be uploaded so you guys can see it. But PropStream and batch leads have a section for cash buyers. In the beginning, we talked about how to filter it. That way you're not just getting regular cash buyers, but you're getting actual investor cash buyers. But for the most part, those are the ways to find cash buyers. You can go the Facebook route, which is the most important route. Facebook investor groups, build your buyers list, Facebook marketplace. You get access to thousands of people at any given time. And then you have the smaller ways, right? Networking, auctions, real estate agents, hard money lenders, like all of these are viable options. When you have a property under contract, you have a 30-day inspection period for the most part. Those first 2 weeks are yours to find a buyer. You have to try all these ways: Craigslist, Facebook, bigger pockets, connected investors, real estate agents, auctions, hard money lenders. You're trying everything possible because this is how you're going to get paid, right? You've done all this work and then you're going to let it slip out of your fingers because you weren't able to continue doing the work towards the end. And then even if all this doesn't work, JV, partner up. I'd rather make half of something than all of nothing. So that's how I kind of see it in the dispo side of finding cash buyers. Let's kind of go back to where we were at. Right. We kind of covered this, right? Join real estate investment groups, build a buyer's list, use social media, email blasts, and then also lists on Craigslist, LinkedIn, Facebook Marketplace, real estate agents, and bigger pockets. Next one, qualify end buyers, right? You don't want to deal with just any person that says they're an investor. Everyone can just say, and hey, yes, I want to give you an offer on the house. I'm an investor. And pretty much we're just asking them, prove it, give it non-refundable. Send me your proof of funds. That way you're not dealing with just another wholesaler, you're dealing with an actual investor. Next one, title companies. So you've done the acquisitions part. You've locked up a property, you ran the numbers, not locked up a property, but you spoke to a homeowner, you calculated an offer, they accepted, you sent them a purchase and sales agreement, you've locked up the first acquisition part. Your next is the dispo side. So now you posted it on Facebook Marketplace, Facebook Investors, you have someone that said yes, you've qualified them, they're a real cash buyer, they have a proof of funds, they're willing to pay you a non-refundable deposit. Now it's time to find the title company. Even though you should know this right in the beginning so you can have it in your original contracts, but let's say you don't. Now is the time to find a title company. You need an investor-friendly title company. Not every title company does assignment deals. Not every title company does double closings. Not every title company does subject to or seller financing. So you have to find the one that's going to work with you and make this transaction as smooth as possible. The best way to do it, free way, Facebook investor groups, ask for recommendations. People will tell you the ones that they've worked with. And that way, that someone has worked with them before, they're investor friendly, you can use them. Another way is to call up title companies, right? Search title companies near me and give them a call and say, hey, do you guys do assignment deals? And they'll let you know right then and there, yes or no. But that's the title company aspect of it. Next one is the closing date. Right? Be prepared. Make sure all your necessary documents and paperwork are ready before the closing date. This includes the purchase and sales agreement, assignment contract, and any other relevant paperwork. So JV agreement, bird dog agreement, whatever else that you have. But for the most part, if you're doing this deal yourself from A to Z, you only need 2 contracts, purchase and sale and the assignment contract. Communicate with all parties, stay in touch with the seller, stay in touch with the buyer, make sure everyone is on the same page. Confirm the details, confirm the time, location, and all the closing details with all the parties. Bring your ID. You're going to need a valid ID in order to get your money. And then review the documents. Take time to review all the documents you'll be signing before the closing, just to make sure everything is in order. For the most part, us wholesalers don't really have to sign much. We've already signed the purchase and sales, already signed the assignment agreement. It's just a matter of them closing and then us giving a valid ID and making our assignment fee. All right. And then this is the assignment agreement contract. I'm not going to play it. You guys can play it, but it kind of follows the same format as this one over here. Same thing, step by step for you guys. But I think that's the end. That's it. That's part 3. Wow. Almost 4 hours.
Wow. That was crazy. You did amazing. This is like a virtual clap. I know everybody's clapping for you right now. So I just lead the way. That was incredible. That's a whole lot of information for a whole lot of dedicated people. I mean, most of the people, thank you guys. Thanks everyone. Most of the people that were here from the beginning. So, I mean, out of everyone here sat here and listened to every word you gave. So good job. Well done. Incredibly well done. All right, I guess open it up for a Q&A, and if not, let's get going.
Right. All right, I guess final questions, and then we can call it, and then hopefully I see you guys on the Discord channel. Hopefully I see you guys starting buying leads, getting started on your actual wholesaling journey. I think one thing that people tend to do is they focus on the information part, right? Analysis paralysis. You guys have heard that before. You want to get as much information as possible. And then when it comes time to actually start, you don't, right? So you guys have everything. You have the contracts, you have the tools, you're going to have this video, you have the scripts, like you really have everything in order to start. And like I've said before, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. You're just going to learn to not make those mistakes again. but you have all the tools in front of you. You have free trials. You have all the softwares. So this is a great way to kind of, and I'm glad we did this, even though it's really long, but it's something that you guys can always look back to. So if you guys get stuck in a certain part, just go back to the video, and then you can go over it once more. All right, let's go for the questions. Discord, what is it? Discord is to network and keep learning. Yeah, so we have a Discord mentorship. There's a free one and then a VIP one. They are linked right here, mentorship. So if you go on wholesalediscord.com, mentorship right here. And we do this every single week, literally every single week. We cover a bunch of topics. So this is not, different to us. This is just a longer version. Usually it's an hour or two. Now this is 4 hours. But we do this every single week, kind of go over different subjects, and try to help you guys close deals. Title companies limiting assignment fees. I haven't heard that. We haven't had an issue of title companies limiting your assignment fees. So I'm not 100% sure.
Lenders are, depending on what you're doing, it's getting, at times it'll get capped at 20%.
Here in Indiana, they limit them to 5,000. Oh, so I did not know that. I mean, we don't have a cap here in Jersey, and we've done a couple of virtual markets and we haven't had a cap. So again, maybe you can always try different title companies. Some title companies have different rules. So if one is capping you at 5,000, try to ask for someone else and see if that's the same rule across all the title companies. How did you know wholesaling was for you? So right out of college, I got hit with the whole COVID laid off. So I didn't really have much of a choice but to look for something different. And real estate wasn't my first thing. Like I've tried Amazon FBA, I've tried fiber arbitrage, I've tried eBay selling. Like I've done a lot of side hustles when I first started out. And they were great. Like some of them were profitable, of course, but it was, change. Like when you're doing Amazon FBA, you're making $3-4 a product. So it's not really beneficial. It wasn't until I learned about wholesaling where I can potentially buy a house, sell a house, and not technically buy it or own it or have to put any money. And at first I didn't believe it, right? I thought the only way to get into real estate is to have a lot of money or become an agent. And so when wholesaling kind of came across my feed, it was just like, yo, this is something I really want to do. And so I did my first deal and I never looked back. So it was more of how did I know wholesaling was for me? It was more of seeing that first check and realizing this is what I want to do every single day. In this cycle, fix and flips are very risky. So many flippers might not be buying. How can we find other types of investors to wholesale to? This is a good point. So I think Mario would be the great one for this one since he's the investor. So if I have a wholesale deal and I want to give it to you, are you still buying in this market?
Yeah, so one thing that you'll find is pricing and obviously markets are tied, right? So in difficult times where prices might be either, let's in this scenario, they're going up, so is everything else, right? So generally what happens is that there's a parallel between those two. So less investors, yes, but more qualified are the ones that remain. Usually the ones that are bankable, the ones that have been in this for a while, that can actually take a property down. So better end user, so to speak. Number two, the fees that you would normally make in a regular wholesale do shrink. You're not looking at your 50,000, 40,000. You're looking at your 10,000, 20,000. Or at the very least in our area. So that's something that you really can't fight, simply because it's a seller's market, right? So in a way, if everyone is looking for a bargain in those times, everyone's looking to pay slightly less in those times. So paying a $30,000-$40,000 wholesaler deal becomes not necessarily a smart business move for a wholesaler, right? So a way to prevent that is to create a little cushion. So don't expect the same fees, expect less. The other side to this that's sort of I don't want to say it's new, but in its current format, it's certainly more advantageous to a lot of people is rental loans, right? Some of you guys out there might be landlords. Some of you guys might want to become landlords. About 4 years ago, in a way, Wall Street got involved in Main Street in a very heavy way, specifically with DSCR loans, with rental income based rental loans, non-owner occupied rental properties. So they flooded the market with money, and they really lowered the standards to for entry into these type of products. So in a nutshell, a lot of people were able to become landlords. And that trend is still very much happening. We have a ton of borrowers, a ton of investors that opt to not flip the house, not sell the rehab, and instead they have plenty of equity in it. They kept it, they refinanced it, cashed out, put a little money out, and kept it as a rental. Or we've had the other side of that, right? Like we've had investors that are very tight. They spend a ton on renovations, more than they thought. The property perhaps is not selling or going to sell for what they thought it would. So now they need to basically bail themselves out, right? Refinance the high interest loan for a lower interest loan at a longer term. So we're seeing a lot of that. But I guess the point is there is now a third breed of end buyer, right? There is a third potential end buyer that you can go after. I mean, there are plenty. There are builders as well, but let's talk about the landlord, right? You not only can buy houses from landlords, of course, but now you can flip it to them. And this is sort of something that hasn't necessarily been around because of usually the difficulty of dealing with tenants, dealing with banks that are generally we're doing the financing for landlords, right? It was regional banks, smaller banks, credit unions, and so on. So now you have the ability to, let's say, in a situation where you find a wholesale deal that perhaps doesn't need a whole lot of rehab, right? Maybe it's rented, maybe that's the problem in the first place, right? It's the tenants. Well, the way these loans work, technically speaking, I mean, we don't care about we care about the income of the property, but the property doesn't have to be leased by the time you go for refinancing. So the appraisal that we do will actually give a market value, right? Like, so if you have a lease, great. I mean, you're getting market rent, you're getting above market rent in most cities right now. And that's the number that we go by. But if you don't have it leased, if you don't have a tenant, or worse, there's a tenant in there that you have to evict, at that particular point, we can potentially use the market rate, whatever the rental average rate is for that area, and you can still buy it. So there's also a combination of two, right? Whereas before the investor, the rehabber needed that extra cushion, right? Like they needed that extra, that 30% in there, perhaps 25%. Well, now, if you find something that, let's say, you have to take down super quickly, right? You got to buy it, you got to close on it, or flip it to this individual fairly quickly for a reason A or B. You can still go in the deal. You can lock it up. You can actually wholesale it to this person. This investor can now get still a fix and flip loan that perhaps doesn't necessarily have a lot of fixing to do, right? So they buy the property. They don't really do a lot of work to it. They go through the eviction. And at that point, we can come in again and refinance that loan and put them on a 30-year fix. So my point is the rental market is now your ally. The rental market is becoming a friend that we never had. And that market has a lot of potential buyers. I guess, yeah, that's it. That's my take on it. So in tough times like these, yeah, there's still deals happening, better quality buyers out there, a whole new pipeline of potential buyers with landlords. And there's also builders. I mean, I don't know if anyone out there does land deals, but this is one of those good times where you can find very cheap land and sell it off to someone who's not gonna build anything on it right away. They're gonna sit on it for the next 2, 3, 4 years until the market changes and they'll make their money back. So there's also that. Anyways, plenty of it. Commercial deals also apply to that. Find old buildings, pass them on to someone who can sit on them for a couple of years, and they will be very, very happy you did that.
Awesome. Next one. So the 1-2 hour calls are for free Discord or the VIP. It's for the VIP. That's kind of one of the programs that we offer. How is the payment received after closing? So either if you're an attorney, closing state, or a title company, closing state, they're going to either send you a wire transfer and you're going to pay a $25 fee for that wire transfer, or you're going to go and pick up the check from the title company. Here, how or where can I create an LLC and what would I need it for? I'm from Michigan. So in order to create an LLC, you can go to your local accountant or you can go online on something like InkFile. And it's like between $100 to $300 if you do it online. If you're going to an accountant, it can go from $300 to $500. But again, they answer all your questions and you have an actual live person to do this with you. What would you need it for? Liability, tax purposes, SMS blasting now. You can't text without an LLC unless you want a toll-free number. So those are like the 3 big reasons, but really the biggest one is liability. If anything goes wrong, they're not going after you, they're going after the company. How many leads does a VA call in an hour? Again, it depends on what, I was actually answered by one of our VAs. Yeah, it depends on the dialer. If you have a manual one, if you have an automatic one, if you have a triple line dialer, if you have a single line dialer, all of these come into consideration with how many a VA can call. So if you have like a triple line dialer, we've seen like, you can do like 100, 200 calls an hour. You're doing a single line, you're looking at maybe 60, 70. You're doing manually, you'll be lucky to get like 20 or 30 calls in because you got to actually plug in the number, dial it, wait for the phone to ring and call. So depends on your dialer, depends on your system. Is there a software that can help you narrow down an area for driving for dollars? Not really. I don't think they've created one that can narrow it down. I know PropStream has like a heat map that shows you like trending spots. You know what, if we're on here anyway, I know this is not part of the presentation, but let me see if I can actually show you. Let's see. Let's go to PropStream. Let's see. Sorry, a little slow, but let me show you. This is kind of like the closest thing that I can offer that has it. Let me see. Analytics right here. You can do price growth, rental values, MLS status. So we're gonna do price growth. Let's actually pick an area. Let's do Plainfield, New Jersey. All right, analytics, price growth in the past 6 months, and then it'll show you the price graph. So obviously the red is where it's hot, and then yellow, so blue is what has been lost, and then the darker it is the more growth. So you can do that if you want to go after specific areas. You want to go after the dark red. But yeah, that's what PropStream offers. It's the closest thing if you want to pick a specific area. But other than that, that's all that I know of. All right, let's see, what did we miss? Key articles. If we happen to not receive the recording of this in our email, where else will it be uploaded? It'll be uploaded on YouTube. It'll be uploaded on Facebook, I believe. It'll be uploaded everywhere. I'll make sure to send over the link. And I think it'll hopefully also be here as well on the website, wholesalediscord.com. I'm trying to see. EMD usually by wire to title company. Yeah, so an earnest money deposit is usually sent via wire. The investor sends it via wire, and then you can send yours as well via wire. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Do I immediately disclose that I'm a realtor? If not, they'll see it on my social media if they research me. What is the name of your YouTube channel? Well, the name of the YouTube channel, I think that one's the easy question, is literally first name, last name. So I can write that. First name, last name. I wasn't very creative with it. But in order to disclose that you're a realtor, so I'm a real estate agent. And I don't want it to be the bulk of how when I'm speaking to a homeowner, like I really brush on it really quickly. So the way that I do it is like, yeah, I completely understand the market's changing. I'm a realtor as well. So I completely understand. Like, that's kind of how I play it apart. Like, I just bring it up in a conversation. I don't make it like the basis of the conversation. Like, I don't say, hey, I am a licensed real estate agent, I have to fully disclose. No, I really try to make it as smooth as possible. Like, we're talking about properties. I'm like, I completely understand. You know, I'm a real estate agent down at Keller Williams here. And we were looking at properties down on, 8th Ave, and, everything is kind of blooming or something in a way where it's not the bulk of the conversation, because you don't want them to automatically assume you're a realtor that wants to list that on the open market. That usually comes into play when they're not interested in your cash offer. And it's like, hey, well, I'm a realtor as well, and I would love to list it on the open market and try to get you more money for it. This presentation going to be on YouTube? Yes, it is. Is it okay or legal to use someone else's POF if they're selling it? I don't know if someone is selling POF, but we did talk about getting your own POF, or you can use a partner like an investor's POF. But let them know, like, when you're speaking with a homeowner, this is your partners, right? Regardless, when you're speaking to homeowners in general, you're always bringing up your partners, right? My partners and I work with a group of investors. That's kind of the only way that you would include their POF. How would you recommend me to find private money lenders if I'm 18, abroad, and don't have family or friends to start with? Networking events. One of the biggest quotes that I've heard growing up is money. Money is the easy part, which isn't always true, but it's like money is the easy part. It's a deal that's hard to find. There's online networking. If you go on like meetup.com, there's online networking groups where they have events happening virtually. But if you have a good deal, if you have a really good deal, you'll find someone to partner up with. One of the things that even Arcad Capital, Mario will kind of bring it up, is in the tri-state area, they offer JV programs to actually fix and flip a property. If the deal is really good, the numbers make sense, they'll come in and cover the capital aspect of it, right? You handle the construction, you handle the rehab, you handle, the on-site program, and they'll handle the back end of paying everything. And then you guys would split accordingly. And I'm pretty sure he's not the only hard money lender that would offer it, but there should be other ones in your state that would give you the same conditions. But again, find a good deal and partner up. That's really your biggest way, because no one's going to automatically give you $100,000 to invest in a property when you're 18, no experience, nothing of that sort. So find a good deal, and that's how you're going to lock them in. All the scripts on the website, yeah, the scripts are going to be right here. So if you go on free event, and then WD presentation, and then all of them are linked. So the contracts are right here. Where were they? Link to contracts. They'll send you to the contracts. And the script was in the other page. Do you teach or do creative deals on your Discord, sub-2, seller financing, or novations? We haven't really brought it up just yet, but we can. That's always an option, right? One of the things that we do on the group is like we ask, right? What do you guys want to hear more of? This group is more for you guys, right? I can talk about everything, but you guys have to tell me what you need to hear, and then we can kind of go through it. Who can explain to you and guide you through the closing process if it's your first time? Yeah, so title company will assist you in order to close a transaction. But for the most part, when you have that purchase and sales agreement sent and the assignment agreement sent, you're no longer important, right? You're the middle person that's just getting cut a fee at the end. Their main focus is on the homeowner and the investor. So you're not really needed as much, to say the least. So if you're watching this part right here, that means you went through the entire wholesaling training, watched 4 hours of me talking. And first off, I want to say I'm proud of you for going through with it, as well as thank you for watching. I really hope this video showed you the ins and outs of wholesaling real estate, but my last piece of advice is going to be to start today. Stop making excuses. I know a lot of wholesalers that go after watching videos, reading books, get into that paralysis analysis, and never ever start, which is the biggest mistake you can do, because wholesaling, no matter what you read, how much you watch, you'll never know enough. You're always going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. It's bound to happen. But you're only going to be able to get better and actually close a deal if you actually start. You have all the resources on wholesalediscord.com, as well as this video to always come back to and rewatch certain sections if you need help with those sections. I really wish you guys the best. You can also join the Discord. There's a free section, the VIP section. That's all available for you guys. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.